Hi, good morning. You're welcome to The Big Issue. The Big Issue is live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. We are live also around the country on our affiliates and around the globe at citinewsroom.com. We are on Facebook Live on 97.3 Citi FM and obviously on Citi TV. My name is Selorm Adonoo. Interesting things have happened this week. This week we've lost our one member of parliament who has been a regular guest on this program in the name of Emmanuel Kyeremanteng Agyarko. This morning, panelists of the show will pay their last respects to him. Also, NDC held its National Delegates Congress last weekend. The Congress, which was to take a day or two, ended up into early Monday. We will assess the General Congress and see what came out of it in terms of the products or the national officers elected. Their sole aim is to rejuvenate the base of the party, revitalize it, and get it ready for election 2020 and win it. We will see if the persons elected from this Congress are fit for this job. Indeed, these have been the choices of the delegates, but our analysts will put them under the microscope to see if they are able to deliver on that. We will also look at the general issue about congresses, whether there is a way we can actually make our congresses a bit more convenient, a bit more less laborious, and even the voting process, sorting, voting and all that. Is there a way we can simplify that? And congresses, are they just for elections, or they are a place where the party will make its members understand what it stands for in terms of its position on policies and ideology? We will look at all that this morning. Also, there's been the talk about an increase in the number of presidential staffers from 998 from last year to 1,614 for next year in the 2019 budget. When it came to light that they were 998, there was public outcry. But the government doesn't appear so concerned about the outcry. Indeed, the president has said that the numbers will be justified after the end of the 4 years because what he came to meet, the mess he came to meet, requires more hands to fix. We'll look at that and see how much the taxpayer is actually expending on these presidential staffers. Dumsor or not Dumsor? Are we back to the days of Dumsor? The minority says that we are almost there and we may be having liquidity challenges, which has been accounted for the recent power outages. The energy minister said no, we are nowhere near Dumsor, just that we've had some little challenges which will be solved very soon and everybody will be fine. If you live anywhere and you don't have electricity this morning, kindly let us know and let us understand what the power situation in your area has been for the past week or two. Also, this week we had a report, or at least part of the content of the report which investigated, or the committee which report of the committee which investigated the Asawase killings. If you recall, 7 persons were killed by the police because they claimed they were armed robbers. Now the report, or the investigative committee, has issued a report stating that these persons were killed innocently, or they were innocent people. What has become of our police service? How do they ascertain that certain people are alleged criminals before they go ahead shooting? And what really is the protocol in shooting alleged criminals? We will look at that this morning. And speaking about the police and the security, about 2 or 3 days ago, the police and the immigration service staff clashed here in Accra around Sakaman because the immigration had allegedly or had arrested some Nigerian nationals who were allegedly in the country illegally conducting illicit activities. They called the police and the police came in to free them. It led to some scuffles, and we understand that the Interior Ministry, which is the mother body of the two agencies, called them, and we don't know what has become of that. Indeed, that meeting was just yesterday. We will look at all that and see what has become of our security agencies. Is it a matter of recruitment? Is it a matter of training? What really it is, and what can we do as a way of reform to ensure that our security personnel win our confidence? You are invited to join the show via WhatsApp on 0549986996. On Facebook, we are live, and around the globe, we are at citinewsroom.com. The hashtag, as always, is a big issue. My name is Selorm Adonoo. I'll return, do some updates, introduce my guests, and we'll delve into the discussion proper. Don't go away. All right, you're welcome back. The discussion has already started, and my guests have already started throwing jabs at each other. I mean, friendly jabs. Well, so this week, if you're watching on TV, you realize that I'm mourning and I'm in black because one of my regular panelists, Agyarko, Emmanuel Kyeremanteng Agyarko, passed on this week, and he was a member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Wuogon. According to the family, he passed on Wednesday night in a hospital at the United States, or in the United States of America, after a short ailment. A number of sympathizers led by the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, on Thursday commiserated with the family of the late MP, leading a delegation including ministers of state, chairman of the NPP, and other executives of the party. The delegation shared in the grief of the bereaved family. There is more in this report.
Prior to his death, Honorable Kyeremanteng Agyarko was the MP for the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency. He was a regular panelist on Citi TV's morning show, The Breakfast Daily. Joining the show for a conversation on the audit service in Ghana was his last moments with the station.
I am happy. I am happy because at least this is a clear indication that democracy is taking roots in this country. If a man feels his work is being interfered with, he has the capacity to raise the alarm and say, the Constitution permits me to do this. People are interfering with my work. The dark days where there was a culture of silence and nobody could say anything is over. Our democracy is beginning to express itself appropriately. I will not be able to sit here and say my very good friend, my very dear friend, Mr. Domelevo is right, or that's the board chairman.
The broken family friends, NPP members and sympathizers thronged the Airport Hill residence of the late legislator, hoping the news of his death was false. The confirmation from the family, however, resulted in many shedding uncontrollable tears, despite consolation from other persons present. For most of them, they had lost a significant figure in their lives. The president led a delegation including the Minister of Trade and Industry, chairman of the NPP, and other dignitaries to express their condolence to the bereaved family. Speaking on behalf of the delegation, organizer of the NPP, Samuel Ewuku, stated that the death of Emmanuel Kyeremanteng Agyarko is a great loss to the governing New Patriotic Party.
His father's era, Honorable Agyarko's father, was part of the foundation and the founder members of the UP. Through it all, together with his family, they've stayed true to the Dankwa Dombo Buzia tradition. Mr. President, the national chairman, conclude that this is our own, and we've lost a very great asset. For him, as a president, he's lost one of his strongest members of parliament. For us as a party, we've lost one of our strongest members of parliament, and also one of our pillars.
The sadness of the sympathizers was heightened when the children of the deceased took turn to greet the president. The family promised to collaborate with the presidency in finalizing the funeral arrangements. For the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency chapter of the NPP, the late member of parliament is irreplaceable.
Passionate person about what he does. He puts in a lot of energy in anything he does. I would also he has this infectious smile. He normally always puts out, no matter the situation. As a leader within the constituency, he galvanized the rank and file of the party, and it's a loss. It's a loss. Everybody has their style, and I believe that as a party would never get another Emmanuel Kyeremanteng Agyarko.
It's a sad mood here at the Airport Hill residence of the former legislator who passed away yesterday. The family say it's yet to sit down to do its own funeral arrangement, and it will have correspondence with the presidency and the New Patriotic Party to look at how they can give a befitting farewell to him. Reporting for Citi News, Hansen Ajiman.
Well, some of his colleague MPs have also been sharing memories they have of him. Let's take a look.
Just a few minutes to 10:30 in the morning in Parliament, and the mood is very, very somber and solemn. Obviously, members of Parliament have been hit hard by the loss of their colleague, Emmanuel Kyeremanteng Agyarko, Member of Parliament for the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency, who's also chairman of the Environment, Science and Technology Committee of the House. He's been in Parliament since 2013, and his colleagues have been telling me how they feel about his passing.
In this moment, it's very sad, it's very difficult for me to say who the Honorable Agyarko was to me. We shared a lot of secrets, we do a lot of things together, we put our politics beside, and we see ourselves more like a family. Sometimes he could drive me around Accra 4 hours, I'll be in his car. When it comes to Parliament in the morning, I was one of the first people he would call. Have you had breakfast? Can we do this? He used to advise me a lot on how to be conscious of my health and what I need to do.
The Honorable Agyarko, I must say he was a very selfless man, very humble, very open. I mean, he laughs with everybody in Parliament. I quite remember when I came to Parliament, he was one of the first people who actually sat me down and advised me. And one of such advice has to do with the fact that I remember very well, because he said, do not let this position get into your head, because then you will lose focus. And he was somebody who really loved music, to be honest with you. He really loved music. Anytime we go for programs and they are, you know, it's between us, almost every time you see him dancing to a tune.
I was so shocked when I heard the news. But when I was told he died in US, I realized, okay, maybe that was why. But we met at the US Embassy. He was securing visas for the children and told me that they were going on break. So when Parliament called us the emergency recess, he asked me whether I was able to go. And I said, no, I'll be doing that during the Christmas. Then he said, oh, he had gone with the family and returned. And said, oh, it will be good that and I take the trip. And I said, okay.
Great guy. Everybody would have fond memories of him. He was collegial. He would have a nice chat with you. Very nice person, affable, humble, down to earth, and we'll miss him a lot. For me, he really liked me. He would come to my house in Kuforidia. I've been to his home, Airport Hills, wherever. We've had good times together, and his intellectual capacity, very, very deep guy.
So not really one of the best of days in the house, as the whole house is thrown into a state of mourning for one of their departed colleagues. And as is convention in the house, a delegation from Parliament would go and visit the family to commiserate with them, in this first instance, to assuage the pain that is associated with their loss.
And knowing him particularly, that he loves life and enjoys the use of it, it would not have been his wish to be kept on life support, just hanging in there for whatever God knows what. So Tuesday, today is what, Thursday? Tuesday midnight, the situation started unraveling very quickly. Stabilized, and it unravels again for the whole of Tuesday. But Wednesday at dawn is when he suffered a consistent decline. At one point, there was really nothing medicine could do. If anything had to be, that was going to be done, it was his own creator intervening, saying, Talita Kumi.
That's it. As if celebrating. When God said that it is time, whichever brilliant medical people you have, something is sufficient to be sure. Whatever it required for human beings to sustain him, you and your family are sufficient and competent. And I'm sure if it came to the nation giving it support, they will not have backed anything. But when God decides that our time is over, none of us can stop.
All right, so you had some MP colleagues or former colleagues of the late MP Emmanuel Kyeremanteng Agyarko sharing some views on the news of his passing. So in the last two voices, I mean, not an MP, but I had his brother, Boakye Agyarko, former energy minister, who told us what happened to him. And he also later on saw First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joe Osei-Wusu. So like I stated earlier, the Honorable Agyarko was a regular guest on this program. And so we went to dig through our files and just got something from his last appearance on the show. Let's look at it.
Well, first and foremost, let me thank you for inviting me. It's been a while. And good morning to you. Good morning to my fellow discussants, and good morning to viewers again. Let me place a caveat here. When an issue touches you personally, you must be very guarded, and that is exactly what I will attempt to do here. Let me say, without equivocation, that government, and this government is, and the success of this government is more important than any person. No person is indispensable. And whatever it takes, this government must succeed. Who said what and who did what, all of it is immaterial. I will want to stick to the official what the spokesperson for the president said, that the president feels that for the sake of this country, for the sake of the people of this country, and for the sake of his administration, the minister has to go. And I think that is what matters.
Yeah, but he connected it to the Ameri.
Yes, it is because he has looked at it. It did not go well. So for the sake of this country, for the sake of Ghanaians, and for the sake of his administration, the minister has to go. Who said what? Who did what? What CSO said.
But you see,
it's for me, it's all not important.
Yeah, but you know, we learn from the past.
Yeah.
And if the whole president could be said, or the whole president was gotten to give executive approval to a deal like this, it's a big matter, you know. And the president comes back to say maybe he didn't look at it well, like you're saying. It's certainly a big matter, and it's not something we should just sweep under the carpet.
Look, this is not the first time
that the
president has done something and asked that it should be taken back. It's not the first time.
All right, so that was the late Emmanuel Kyeremanteng Agyarko. That was the last time he appeared on this program, and incidentally, that was the week that his brother, former Energy Minister Boakye Agyarko, was relieved of his post as minister by the president, and you can see how he spoke about it. He wasn't shy to speak about the issue. He tried to balance the issue of blood relations versus allegiance to the party, and he navigated that quite well. Very sad incident, and we are mourning on this show today. Let me introduce my guests. This morning, my guests are Andrew Ejapa Mesa, who is the MPP Member of Parliament for Sekondi. Ni Lante Vanderpoel is the NDC Member of Parliament for Ododododio and the former Minister for Sports, and served in other capacities or portfolios in the John Mahama administration. Yao Opon, private legal practitioner. Ni Kpakpo Samoa Ado, a private legal practitioner and a member of the NDC, I should say. So we will begin the discussion, but obviously we will start with the late MP, and his colleagues are here, so they will just pay their last respects, and then we'll delve into the NDC Congress. So let me start with you, Honorable Nilante Vanderpoel. I saw you on the screen. You were a bit teary. I understand he was your friend, and you guys were very close. So how did this come to you? Certainly very sad news.
Well, thank you very much, and let me take the opportunity to say a very good morning to my noble people of Ododododio, the chiefs and people of the Gamashi area, and also to all Ghanaians and the viewers, and to my very good friend Japa, my brother-in-law. I call him.
Okay, you call him. I thought you could say brother-in-law.
No, I call him my brother-in-law because my wife comes from Sekondi.
Okay, so I thought you had a flower in Sekondi.
No.
It's already planted.
Okay.
And to say it's really a difficult issue for me to discuss. I've been trying to come into terms with the fact that I've lost a brother. It's really difficult. You see, really, because of the way our politics is, really will you have somebody who you can really confide in if the person doesn't belong to the same political party with you. But I can say, out of the many in the house, Ima Aweche Cheko, as we used to call ourselves, was one of the people I could leave every property of mine with without having an iota of doubt as to how that property could be kept. As I'm saying, I could drink from the same cup with him, eat from the same bowl with him, without having any thoughts. I wouldn't say that about everybody. I wouldn't say that even about my own party supporters.
Some, you say?
Yeah. I could say that this is somebody who I could trust. And this is somebody who also trusted me. We're friends, colleagues. We've known ourselves before we came to Parliament. But when we came to Parliament, our relationship became deeper. I could walk into his office, he could walk to my office. And it's all because we also share some blood, because we have Dangbe blood in us. Yeah, I'm a Dangbe, and he's Dangbe and Ashanti.
Okay.
But we used to talk more about how we could contribute to the development of the Dangbe areas. And he was very passionate about that. What I like about him was the fact that he was a gentleman. In all circumstances, he would tell you what is on his mind, but in a very noble, humble, affable way. And anytime, I remember when I was a minister, anytime he hears something about it, he would call me, advise me, or I wish you could do it this way, I wish you could do it that way. And he was always ready to share experiences. He was very conscious of his health. That's why I was a bit worried when I heard the news. Because he was one of the people who was extremely conscious of his health. And he used to advise me a lot on how to keep a healthy body and how to be healthy all the time. the things I need to do. He sometimes will prescribe some medications for you when you think you are stressed and all those things. Can you do this? Can you do that? And all those things. So he was a wonderful person. And I didn't know because called me a few times when he was away to discuss one or two things pertaining to ourselves. And I wouldn't want to discuss that on television. But I was surprised. Let me say that I was utterly shocked when I heard the news. And if there's something he kept away from me, even though we share a lot of secrets, he didn't tell me he had any ailment. He didn't tell me he was sick. He never mentioned any issue.
And he didn't look sick too.
Yeah, he never. As he always be saying that as a human being, you may fall sick one day or the other, but he doesn't want people's health to become topical issues for discussions on radio and television. He has always cautioned about that, and he frowns on that. So let me say that it's a blow. It's a blow to Ghanaian politics. It's a blow to Parliament. Because, let me be frank with you, if you continue to have people like Agyarko and Dambotres and few people I can call, Mesa sitting here, good friends, we talk a lot, we share a lot of common things. When I go to Kakrade Secondary, we go out together in the night, he take me out and all those things. You understand? Slowly, we'll be able to build that culture that will disseminate into our supporters for them to understand that being on different political divides
doesn't mean you are enemies.
Doesn't mean you are enemies. You could share ideas. It's just like football. I being House of Oak and you being Kotoko, or I being Liberty and you being House of Oak. I being Manchester United and you being Chelsea or Arsenal. It doesn't mean we are enemies. So I thought we were developing that from people like Agyarko, Mesa, and when you come to Parliament sometimes, he will tell you, just yesterday, Honorable Tanko, our MP for Yakaba Kubori, always bring food. And we all sit down and eat together. NDC MPP. We all dish from the same bowl. We eat together. We do things together. And those are the cultures we're developing as we develop with our democracy. And so, for someone like Agyarko to leave us when we've not reached that, I think it will take tens of Agyarkos to be able to speed up that particular reformation that I'm looking for as far as the frontiers of our politics is concerned.
Very well. Honorable Mesa, I mean, he came from your party, so there he is speaking about him in these very good terms. I don't know what fond memories you have of him, and I don't know how much of a loss this is to you and your party.
Well, I guess good morning is appropriate, particularly to our cherished viewers this morning, and those who are listening to us on radio. Terrible, terrible news. I mean, he took an instant liking in me when I came into Parliament the first time in January 2017. I knew him from afar, but we're not close until I came into Parliament. And no day passed when he saw me and just walked off. He will call me into his office, proffer pieces of advice here and there. And so when I heard the news, and I heard it from a member of the opposition, really. Ras Mubarak was one who called me Wednesday night at about 9:20 to find out from me whether the news that he was hearing was true. I hadn't heard it at the time. So I quickly went onto our party platform and saw the messages popping up there indicating that this was what had happened. I was completely shaken because I can say without any fear of contradiction that I earned the right to be called his friend. Invites me to events, 60th birthday, even though I couldn't attend.
Yeah.
He attended my 45th.
Whoa.
Yeah, just past May. Calls me into office, go for lunch together every now and then. So he's a very good friend of mine, senior brother, as I saw him. Somebody that I could confidently say was learning from him, the rudiments of our politics. relationships, how to deal with constituency issues and parliament issues and all that. I mean, no subject matter was, off the cards in terms of the discussions that we had. And so I see this as a personal loss, and I pray that the good Lord himself would repose his soul and give us all comfort, particularly his close relations, his wife and children, his siblings, and all those who, one way or the other, had some relationship with him. It's very, very terrible news. And it's been a terrible rest of the week for me, Great guy, by all accounts. I mean, the tributes that you hear people pay, I mean, there's no way that you can contradict anybody with the kinds of things that, the experiences that he had with Honorable Kyeremanteng Agyarko. Genuine human being, fine personality, great asset to this country and to our party. And I think that the president visited his home the very morning with all the ministers of state and party leadership, and the parliamentary leadership and members of parliament also going there, tells you the extent to which he was held within the fold of the New Patriotic Party.
Very well. All right, thank you so much, Honorable Mesa. You are not in Parliament.
Yes,
maybe not yet.
Yes, but he's Honorable Agyarko was a friend, Okay. I did a couple of shows with him here, Big Issue. Very pleasant person. If you heard the plane, he spoke his mind. He would never insult you if you are an opposing person. He always had a kind word, advice. He will give you his number. You could talk to him. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I was calling my phone and I saw his number. I said, I have to call him. But I said, I'll call him later. For some reason, I didn't call him. So, and in this world of social media, you see, very early in the morning, I saw interesting, he's gone, and it's on the WhatsApp platform. So I got to hear it very, very early. And I said, is this true? So I went to some of my NDC platforms and even went to some friends on the other side. And fortunately, it was confirmed. I thought it was not true. But then when you started seeing, and I think one of the major news portals, reported it, then you actually begin to believe that it is true. And he's one of those people that you as Honorable Nilante said, you meet him, he will tell you, hey, you're going out of shape, get yourself into shape, he would advise you, he would talk to you. And he took a personal interest, even for the first time, meeting you. I think the very first show we did here was just after the election, and he shared his experiences, and he would tell you some of the things that public officers, will face as, by way of work problems and what he felt, could be done. And he spoke across board. You could see he spoke Ghana. He's tried to reach out. He tried to look at Ghana beyond just the NDC MPP, looking at a Ghana that we could build together without, always being at each other's throat. And he tried to walk the divide, tried to tackle issues without having a partisan, approach. Yes, he would defend his party where he felt it, but he would also speak out, against things that he felt were not right, And so, if you could describe him, you could say he was a decent politician. He was a decent man, and one that you could see both sides of the divide would miss, and that's why you see that everyone has a kind word to say about him. Some people, yes, will go and, you see that, yes, he stood for party principles, he did this, but you will not find other people on the other side really, yes, as a typical Ghanaian will mourn, but when you see everyone coming out with a kind word, and you see that there's a certain lull in the political, temperature, then you realize that somebody really unique has left the scene. May his soul rest in peace. And especially when we get to know that he has a very young family, we pray for comfort, divine comfort. In sometimes it's difficult, because you begin to ask the questions, why, most of the time I like the way my Muslim brothers go, that it is the will of God. Sometimes you can't ask, you try, what's happened, could it have been prevented, but the person is gone, So I pray that his wife and children would find peace, That is the key thing. Would come to accept the situation, would be able to find some peace. And I think that as Palmer Buckle, advised, we try to get some of these things done quickly so that we can have some rest and some peace, and we pray for them. It's a sad day for Ghana and a sad day for all of us who try to speak about the nation, in our individual ways. It's a sad day. It's a really sad day.
Very well. Thank you so much, Deepak Samuel. Agyarko, as has been said by many, was a true gentleman. He was very passionate about what he believed in, but was never harsh in how he put his points across. I remember having a discussion with him after one of the programs. Very heated discussion. He held his ground, and he promised getting me some documents to prove his point. So I've since been waiting for the documents, but the documents it's now appearing. It's appeared the documents will never get to come. Very sad incident. Our condolences to the family. We hope that the good Lord himself will comfort them and then give them peace. All right, so I will take a short break. We'll come back and then we'll look at the NDC and its Congress and matters arising. All right, so the National Democratic Congress over the weekend elected Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo as his party's national chairman. Mr. Ampofo emerged winner in a contest which included Dana Bodakwi, Hudu Yaya, Betty Modidrisu, and Danny Annan. The party also, in an overwhelming endorsement, retained Party General Secretary Johnson Asedu Nketu in a Congress which lasted well over 2 days. Citi News' and Shelley Ziwu was there and then puts everything together.
Thousands of the National Democratic Congress's delegates across the country converged at the Trade Fair Center to elect a new batch of national executives to lead the opposition party for the next 4 years. Over 60 aspirants contested for various national positions at the party's 9th Delegates Conference. Key among the positions is the National Chairman, General Secretary, National Communications Officer, and National Organizer, which were keenly monitored. Delegates were expectant. After a host of activities, voting started, and in queues, delegates were called to cast their ballot.
17 hours after elections commenced, it has finally come to an end. Sorting is ongoing and counting will follow very soon.
It was a tiring process for both delegates and the media. Eventually, the results started trickling in, and the Electoral Commission announced the winners.
Fred Agbanyo had 2,069, and Sami Jemfi had 6,215. So Sami Jemfi has therefore been duly elected as the National Communication Officer of the party, General Secretary. Out of a total of 8,299 valid votes, Koku Ahindo had 1,655, and Johnson Asedu Nketia had 6,644. Therefore, Johnson Asedu Nketia has been duly elected as the General Secretary of the NDC. We look at the national chairmanship race. Dan Abodaki had 2,199. Petimot Idrisu had 363. And Samuel Ofosu Ampofu had 3,656. And so, Samuel Ofosu Ampofu has been duly elected as the national chairman of the NDC.
The party's new national chairman, Samuel Ofosu Ampofu, gave the victor's speech on behalf of the winners.
I have indicated that one of the challenges the NDC has faced in some of the opposition strongholds is the fact that our party agents are harassed and intimidated during elections. But as we move into 2020, the party is going to establish what I call the ballot box protection unit. And this ballot box protection unit is going to tap the energies of our youth. We are going to train you and equip you with the necessary knowledge and understanding of the electoral rules to protect our ballot box, to protect our party agents, and to protect ballot accounting on election day. 2020, we are not going to leave any stone unturned. We are going to mobilize all forces to ensure that we win 2020. To reverse the current challenges, economic difficulties that we are going through under the administration of the Bawumia Akufo-Addo administration. We all know where this country is going. This country is going through the reverse direction. And NDC, it is urgent that we put ourselves together and work to bring this country back on track. And I believe that NDC holds the key to bring Ghana back on track.
From the Fantasy Dome at the Trade Fair Center here in Accra, I am Anshirley Enyonam reporting for Citi News.
All right, so Nick Makwe just said something. He said it's a great time to be an NDC member, and that got me laughing or smiling. All right, so the NDC Congress, yes, let me start with you, Honorable Odododu MP, Nilante Vanderpool. The Congress started quite well, very neatly arranged place. The room or the auditorium was nice, the arrangements, the speeches were quite short, everything was nice until we got to the voting time and everything dragged, and that length of time and how people were tired appeared to have taken the shine of the beauty of the program. Generally, what do you make of the candidates which emerged, the persons which emerged or who emerged from the Congress as now executives of your party?
Let me say, if you ask me to summarize everything, I will summarize it in the words that my brother just gave out. It's a great time to be an NDC member.
I see.
I'm telling you. Well, I would say my association with NDC dates back in 1992.
Okay.
When I became the ward secretary for Kolewoko. Okay. So I've served this party. In fact, I was the Greater Accra acting secretary of the Eagle Party when it started. Oh. I've been a cadre. So I know the bricks which were used to found the NDC and to build the NDC from PDC and all this in Democratic Youth League of Ghana, Future Leaders Organization and all this. So I've experienced the NDC, and I can tell you that there's no time in the NDC that I can see so much fervor. I can see so much fire, so much energy, zooming out of the grassroots. NDC has been a party from the way it was conceived. You know, it's like you were in power and something was born out of power. For the first time, I'm seeing an upturn of the NDC structure, that the power is now coming out of the grassroots of the party. They are showing interest, desire. You know, they are showing some energy in their belief that this is our own.
And they've never seen it before.
Unbelievable.
The NDC says prides itself in being a grassroots party. Yes, so what is so different about this time?
You see, I'm saying, if I've been in NDC all this while, and I've seen the way we've done things, I've seen the way we conducted ourselves, No. There has never been a time in the NDC where I'm seeing the grassroots of the party and almost everybody in the party so energized and wanting to do something.
Even the middle class.
I wanted to do something. And all of a sudden, like they just said, I've seen a group of middle class, an overwhelming number of middle class people joining forces with the grassroots. They don't mind the level of the people, ready to integrate with them, build together and work together. Some time ago, let me be frank with you, NDC was seen as a party of veranda boys and girls. But today, we have a lot more that we can even form the professional advisors club, the professional intelligence club, and so many of these things coming up. Some time ago, I could see it was almost impossible for the NDC to organize an activity on Legon campus, let alone Commonwealth Hall. But today you could have an NDC branch in Commonwealth Hall, of all places. That tells you the desire, the sort of impact that the new wind that is blowing around the NDC is having on almost everybody in NDC. And I can tell you, look, looking at the people sitting down for 2 days, some had not had their bath. They don't really care. And I was happy that when the cameras were interviewing these people, they said, look, we don't care how many days we stay here. All that we want to do is to make sure that we elect people committed enough to fight to bring the party back to power. And I saw it. As I was going around, I saw it with everybody sees you, and you could see smile, you could see. If I juxtapose that with a sort of moody, disappointed, disillusioned people I met as a member of the Constitutional Committee when we were going around the country, I've seen a very, let me say, sharp upsurge of confidence, of desire on the part of the party to be able to do what they didn't do right in the past. Let me say that the Congress is subtract because unlike the Congress that is done by, for example, the MPP, let me take, I think we have to learn from best practices. If we go all over the world, we have different types of Congresses. With ours, it looks like we box everything together. And that is one of the things we have identified. And good enough for us. Even though we're not able to do all the amendments at this particular Congress, 3 very important amendments were made. One, basically to correct this particular issue of the number of days we use for Congress and activities that are embedded in the same Congress. So, for example, we've learned from the MPP. I have no regrets for that. They also learn from somewhere. We're going to have a special delegates Congress as for next time, where we can take time to look at issues about our constitution, about our policies, our programs and activities, and that special delegate Congress. So we can have a delegate Congress that is solely dedicated to elections, as is done somewhere. So on that day, we will just have elections, and that would not protract, that will not delay unduly. But this one, we were scheduled to start voting somewhere between 1 and 2. We ended up started voting around 4, 5. I voted around 6:30. Even after
finished the following morning around 9 or 10.
Yeah, you understand? Because the numbers were huge. It's never happened before in this country. It's never happened before. Huge. Between 8,700 something to 10,000 people. You understand? So the numbers were huge. And let me say, it's all because we are trying. In fact, this particular one was even a consideration. The earlier consideration was that every registered member of the party must vote. Then it came to all branch executives voting. If we had considered that we would have had over 200 and something thousand people,
now they would have voted in the various constituencies or regions.
So those are the things we are looking at. In as much as people, as a grassroots party, we want power to go back to the people. And I was happy that was reflected in the speeches that were delivered by all the people who said them. For example, people have given their own interpretations of the speech of the founder. But if the founder says, listen to yourselves.
But we'll come to the founder.
Yes, I'm just linking up the speech. It means that we should listen to some of the things that our people have been complaining, power to the people, help the people. So it's up, I think he himself was happy that we've listened to ourselves and we're giving power back to the grassroots?
The power back to the grassroots, I'm not quite sure, because you in your amendments you formed is it a council or a conference?
A presidential committee.
The one to meet and do some amendments.
Between the...
so that will be taking power from the people. But we will come to those amendments. Yeah. We'll come to those amendments.
Okay.
Right. Let me come to you, Honorable Mensah. I mean, listening to all that he said, you should be scared as a member of the ruling party.
If he hasn't been already
before under what circumstance?
No, because he says the party is very energized, the base is energized. They are now chipping away some of your base, the middle class, and all those people. If everything he's saying is true, that should certainly get you back to the drawing board.
I'm glad you used the conditional phrase "if," because you know, my friends on the other side have a penchant for tickling themselves and laughing. And so, look, I mean, like you said, interesting Congress, started well. I listened to some of the speeches on my way to Kufuridwa for our post-budget workshop. Of course, at the end of the day, clearly they had issues because of lack of proper planning, in my view, such that the voting took longer, way longer, than they themselves anticipated. I guess that they are now finding a justification that it dragged on for too long and people didn't even complain because of how their party is energized. Surprising to me, really, because they have always told us, if you recall, during the time that we had issues with Kobde Japan and Afoko in our party, that they were united, strong party, we had issues. Yet the Ghanaian people, having evaluated their performance in government, took a decision to vote them out. All of a sudden.
You said they were complacent and there was voter apathy, which is different from disunity.
No, I don't have a problem with whatever conclusions that they draw. As far as I'm concerned, they haven't even been able to compute their own police station data across the country till date.
No, but Bidzidin...
And the person who presided over that election has now been voted as their party chairman, and that should scare me.
Bidzidin, who deputized
in any event, I
addressed a press conference 2 weeks ago and said that assertion is not true, and that the results are there
have you heard them
for
tell
everybody
us?
To see.
Where?
In the party
We're supposed to go to your party headquarters and find out.
Because maybe it was inconsequential.
You've forgotten the allegations that they made that the elections were rigged and all sorts of things.
As the EC gazetted election results.
You are not aware.
I'm asking you.
It's been gazetted.
So what are you saying?
So wherein lies all the allegations that you were making at the time? In any event, I've heard them say that they are poised to go back to the Flagstaff House. As far as I know, the Flagstaff House is a museum in the Jubilee House complex.
You know what they are talking about?
No, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Because the seat of government is Jubilee House. So if they are poised to go back to Flagstaff House, to a museum, new parlance that I've heard on social media, that's okay. But on a much serious note, I mean, look, I think that the 2020 election is going to be a clear choice between Ghanaians deciding whether to stick with the NPP, which has demonstrated clearly its ability to take us from the mess that we inherited, put this country back on a sound footing, and clearly heading in the right direction. I mean, you can look at my face any which way you want. These are facts. You guys clearly admitted your inability to manage the affairs of this country by going to the IMF. It's a fact. You said to us that you lacked policy credibility. The economy was in shambles because of the reckless expenditure that you incurred in the 2012 election. You could not recover. There was no end in sight. This country had been ripped down to the bone. So you went to the IMF. Fact. This is not conjured by me. Indeed, 18 months after you went into the IMF program, the IMF's own report indicted your government as lacking the capacity.
I thought we were talking about Congress.
No, I'm
economy and governance.
These distractions will help.
No, it's not a distraction. I'm just trying to bring you back on track.
No, it's linking it to other necessary things.
Okay. So the IMF clearly stated where you were taking this country.
So for you, the energy you saw at the Congress
is of no consequence at all, as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, they can tickle themselves all they want. Ghanaians would take a decision in 2020. They have always sought to thrive on some infrastructure, unprecedented infrastructure. I have said that in 2020, infrastructure will not be an issue for the election.
What will be?
Competent management of our economy. Clear.
And that management of economy will generate infrastructure.
Of course. Look, I agree. There are issues. There's no doubt. And we've always had issues.
There were no issues during the NDC time.
There were no issues.
There were no issues.
You tell me.
No, I'm asking you. There were no issues.
All right. So,
but you see, there are issues. We inherited issues.
Plus your own issues now.
We are on the course of resolving the issues. We can't resolve all the problems of Ghana in 4 years or 8 years. Fact. But if you do a clear content analysis of what your performance as a government has been in the past, compared to what is happening in these past 2 years and what is likely to happen in the next 2 years, 2020, that is where the battle lines will be fought. Not your energy. You think our party folks are not energized? I'm energized. I'm hell-bent on working so hard to ensure that this government remains in power. Because clearly, I cannot trust the destiny of my children in the hands of the NDC. Simple. What are we talking about?
All right, good. All right, very well. Okay, you were a delegate. But he's saying that I mean, the energy and co you guys are talking about are inconsequential, and that 2020 is a real deal, and that judging from everything, the past, even the present, and even what is to come in the future, he cannot entrust the destiny of his children in the hands of the NDC.
You see, my learned colleague made very interesting remarks. Some of us were, you could say, sympathizers of the NDC. We never really thought to get into active, partisan politics until we lost in 2016. Then we all said, a couple of us said, well, you can't sit back, be in the so-called intelligentsia or be in the middle class or what have you, and you only go turn up at the police station, vote every 4 years, and not take active part in the politics of your country, and only criticize from afar, because clearly there was a disconnect between the party and the government. The government in terms of the NDC party, and it largely contributed to the defeat in 2016. So a lot of people decided that once there was the defeat, let's do the analysis. What was the problem? And after complaining, what are we going to do? We all must take up membership cards. We all must contribute towards the development of the party. You can no longer sit back and just play a low-key role and blame the defeat or success of the party on whoever is up there. So if you notice, when we did the reorganization of the party, if you go to the branch levels now, you'll be surprised at the new crop of leadership that have taken over in terms of the NDC. The NDC used not to attract that much of the what I'll call the middle class, you know, lecturers, lawyers, and accountants, and what have you. It was a lot more. You say, well, ordinary folk, we're all ordinary folk, but more ordinary folk. Yes, I could. More of my colleague lawyers would identify themselves as MPP more than NDC people, you know. But that has changed. Now we wear our badge with pride. It's no longer, you know, hiding behind the scenes and, you know, making and advocating from the shadows. You could see that they have taken up positions and are leading the charge in terms of the party now. So the party, I'll say, has become very, very attractive. And that is a big plus because now it's a lot of new ideas, it's a lot of new energy. And then we're going back and trying to learn from our mistakes. What were the major problems that caused the defeat in 2016? And if you look across board, the biggest issue was the disconnect between the party and the government.
And the facts on the ground do not support this assertion.
And you could realize that
it does not.
You could realize that when President Mahama currently went round, you know, and the other leaders who are campaigning for various positions, we've never had it that way where the higher up in the party would go around and virtually campaign for their lives. You know, in respect of the regional positions, the national executive.
But it's always been the case, isn't
it? It's always been the case in respect of
flag bearation.
But not in respect of
not the national executive.
Not at the branch level.
I'm telling you.
You mean at the branch level?
At the branch level.
At the branch level.
We've decentralized the election process. You never had it going all the way to the branch level.
So the branch.
Let me tell you what they used to do is, for example, pile up delegates at one center and talk to them and all this. But instead, you are going to towns, you are going to villages, you are going to.
So you'll be at a constituency meeting, you'll be at a branch meeting, and you will see the top up coming to campaign.
Nobody went to 30,000 branches across the country.
Well, that is what you think.
But that's not what happened. Because it's practically impossible.
I can tell you, listen.
It is. Practically.
But you can meet them at
you aggregate them and meet them at the constituency level.
I am telling you that.
Do you know how many police stations are
that is the interesting thing.
How many police stations are your
It is good for you to sit where you are sitting.
No, but these are facts.
Why are you saying they did that?
There are 30,000 police stations in this country.
I am telling you that.
You are saying your people who contest for national offices went to all the 30,000.
Look, it was an evolution.
Let's look at it this way. Let's look at.
That's why I say, I tell you, let them tickle themselves.
Let's make it for an outcome. Yes.
That is why you saw the kind of energy at the Congress.
But what happened to the NDC conference and so there was energy.
Listen, there's always
celebration of energy.
There's a different thing.
This was party anyway.
They celebrated in Kofodia.
When you are in opposition, and you see that people are without any funding from anywhere. You understand? That's why you are in opposition. You see, the difference in opposition and government is that when you are in opposition, and you see new faces, you see people dedicated and prepared to sacrifice their own resources to be able to come down to the last person to get their votes.
Okay, so what do you think is accounting for this? I mean, the growing middle class in the party.
It's a realization that the grassroots have taken back their party. The grassroots have decided that they want to have a say in who leads them, and what will happen when we are in power. So you realize now that somebody like Chairman Azoka, when he came around, in my constituency, for example, was very clear. This is a time when we are in opposition, nobody asks you about your certificate in respect of where you are, what certificate you have, when you are doing the hard work, when you are balloting, policing the ballots and all that. When we come into power and you are making appointments, we are not going to ask people who are sitting somewhere and have not contributed from the day-to-day running of the party to be taking up appointments. So there's a commitment that if you work hard...
But that thinking itself is problematic,
No,
isn't it?
it's not problematic at all. It is actually what should be.
It is pro-party, but anti-government.
Listen, if you are the people who work, if you are the one who gets up in the morning, to go to the polling station, stand from morning till evening, police the ballot, be there when it is counted, ensure that the pin sheet has been transported to where...
You should be made a Minister of Finance.
Not be made a Minister of Finance, but at least when there are positions for appointment, you must have a say.
Must have a say.
You must have a say. That recognition, that respect is what the grassroots have
done
about. There was that disconnect. Yes, of course. So if you are looking for a district chief executive, you don't sit in Accra and appoint the district chief executive. You must consult the constituency executives, the branch executives, before you give them a district chief executive. If you want to pick a regional minister,
but it's not what has been the case.
No, you see, most of the time. No, you see, that we must be honest. So what are we talking about? We must be honest about some things. If these things had happened in the past, the defeat that we suffered in 2016 would not have.
That was the case in the past.
But unfortunately,
he himself was a member of the team that went around the country to interview DCE appointees.
Report. So, I just think that this was a grassroots revolution. They elected a chairman who they believed would deliver on whatever it is that we had said to the Kwesi Botwe Committee. We have elected executives that we feel understand the charge that has been given to them. The charge is very simple. Win 2020, that is the mandate, and ensure that the grassroots voice is heard when we come to power. I think that message and that charge has been taken from the election. And I can understand the panic and the fear in the MPP. Because if after beating us by so-called 1 million votes, this is not a party that has gone into comatose. This is a party that has bounced back. This is a party that is energized. This is a party that has people who are prepared to sacrifice and to ensure that the party comes back to power. Then they must be in trouble.
So the energy you guys talk about, what do you attribute it to? Will you say that the unity walk has played a role in this?
Let me say this. Look, one of the key issues in our electoral defeat was the fact that there was apathy. A lot of apathy. There was so much anger, so much pain, so much disgruntlement among the grassroots of the party. And when we went around the country, we saw it. That's why one of the basic resolutions of the Kwesi Botwe Committee was the fact that the party must try to reconnect with its principles of grassroots mobilization. It said it.
So that's what the unity work sought to do?
Yes. So immediately, how do we get the people back? And that's what I'm saying. I said it once on your network, that we went to Chufo Praso to meet the party people during the Kwesi Botwe. And I saw people who were ready to tear each other apart at the Kwesi Botwe Committee. Destroyed the meeting several times because fight between one, even at Medina, you were there. But I saw these same people holding each other's hand in Cape Coast when we did the Central Regional Walk. So I called the two of that. But were you not the people with? So yeah, I've been there. The Musi in United to Yechi, Naya Krona, Naya Juma, my Indies about back to power. It was significant. We seen that. Look, whatever happened has happened. We're putting it behind us. We want to work together to bring the party back to power. That is the energy we are talking about. Positive energy. That is ready to pull people who have had differences, people who were angry, people who were disillusioned, disappointed, together. And say, look, can we just forget about the past and do this?
And we are all suffering the incompetence.
That is the issue. Two, almost every member of the party, let me be frank with you. Look, the NDC has gone through a lot of evolution. We have the party that has suffered a lot of internal evolutions more than the MPP. I heard him mention Kobe Japan and
but that was that.
You know, we had reform parties. You remember? We had
Ayawaso West Party.
And then we've had Nana Kunedu.
Those were three significant.
Within this our short life,
we've
gone through a lot. But then NDC is so resilient and formidable. The fortitude of the NDC was manifested in the expression of the party people at the trade fair. Let me be frank with you. There is no way, I've been a political animal all my life. There is no way any MPP person would truthfully say to itself
that he was not shaking.
That he was not shaking by what he saw. I'm being frank with you. Look, the truth of the matter is that
there's
every
one
politician
sitting right here.
Oh,
And I'm telling you that
look,
and he's not shaking.
I'm not shaking at all. Not in
let
the
me tell you
least.
something.
He's a professional lawyer.
Let tomorrow. Let me tell you. Look. Let me tell you. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Let there be a match between Accra Asawase and Manchester United. Accra Asawase, some Accra Asawase supporters will believe that they will beat Manchester United.
Yes.
When they know that it is nearly impossible.
That's exactly what you're doing.
So what I'm saying, what I'm saying that
exactly
he sitting here will tell you that he's not feeling it.
Happy when he behaves like, because actually
he's not feeling it.
Good.
I'll be happy.
Feel the way they are feeling.
Look,
that
I've seen the situation where in NDC people have talked about the MPP, the energy they were having after losing 2008 elections and all this, and then we've dismissed them and say, oh, these people, they are fragmented, they are this, they can't do anything. We've been complacent. I've seen a situation where an NDC person, people have said, oh, if the MPP want to inherit the states too, they should go and see a capital. We've said more things than they are saying today. The fact is that the energy that the NDC of yesterday,
it's not the
NDC of 2016 is not the NDC of today. Like Papu said, look, in my constituency, I was surprised at the number of graduates who had offered themselves to serve at the branch level. Look, in my current executive, I have 2 lawyers.
The graduates who formed the Graduates Association during your tenure.
We have lawyers, we have
branch executives of your party.
Communication officers.
Who are these guys?
Maybe they are not good. There are some points.
Who are you deceiving?
I'm saying that. Look, the truth of the matter is that some time ago we do not see this sort of attitude.
Very well.
This thing within the NDC.
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well. So yes, watching from outside the NDC, maybe pissing in and pissing out. I mean, I remember those pissing and pissing out times. The Rawlings factor, you know, and I'm sure you followed what Rawlings said and the reception he got. I don't know how that compares with reception he received in other congresses. But do you think that the Rawlings factor in the NDC, as an outsider, do you think the Rawlings factor is waning?
Well, I have not, to be honest, I haven't paid particular attention to happenings within the NDC. I just, because we live in an environment where I get to receive news that.
So you see where this thing is. He doesn't really.
No, but he's making this point.
He doesn't really have any this about the NDC.
It's laying foundation.
But I have my party issues to deal with. So why should I bother myself with NDC business?
No, I do.
I'm working.
I do a lot in
NPP
to
strengthen
I follow a lot
party
in NPP,
so that the apathy that befell you in the 2016 election, as you claim, will not befall me in 2020. We're doing whatever it takes within the confines of our control to consolidate our gains in 2016 and improve on it in 2020. We are working hard within our party to strengthen our structures. Already strengthened structures that they are even happy to copy from, which is fine. Mr. Rawlings, contrary to the political party's law itself, which proscribes one person
from being a founder
of a party, they themselves have. It's true.
Ideology.
You yourself say he's the founder of your party.
He's the only person.
Go to the commission and see whether his name is what is there.
Over the years.
So let him do the correct thing. Let him check from the Data Commission whether Rawlings' name is there as the founder.
So why do you call him founder?
So he just provided the answer.
Ideology. That's an ideology.
You guys call him your founder.
So the founder, you call him. It's not the same as the founder founding the party.
No, of course. That's why that's their nature. In the legal requirements of the founding
it is purely deceptive.
We have founding members.
That is what it is.
But we are saying that he's
founded. Is he a founding member of the party?
No, he's signed as a founder.
He signed as what?
No, he didn't sign as a founder.
But he signed as
listen to the inherent inconsistencies in your own presentation.
No, listen.
Let him provide that clarification.
Unless you want to,
I'm happy to give him all the time he needs to clarify this inconsistency.
Unless you want to make a static listing out of it, it's not an issue.
I'm speaking to facts.
Let him provide a legal bit to it. Yes.
No, if you go to the Electoral Commission, you will see the founding members of the NDC.
Yes.
those
who are some of these people?
Oh, they are there.
Oh, they are there. Some of them are there, but you're supposed to have one in every district.
Okay. So Rollins' name was not there as a founding member.
No. We are talking about somebody's founding ideology. That we're saying that look, the party's ideology is founded on the principles of this person.
Yeah.
When we call him
but see, if you found something on my beliefs and ideology, it doesn't make me the founder of that thing.
Thank you. So if you're addressing that one,
it is a technocrat. He's saying that look, you with your ideas found this
the party. So you are the founder.
Simple. Okay. It doesn't mean that you are talking about the legal requirements as espoused in the
very well. So I mean, you just took very well. So let me come back to you. So he's provided clarity on that.
And you are convinced?
Are you not? That's their party.
What have we been told consistently? The founder of our party, the founder of our party, the founder of our term of which act?
It is restricted to our.
You see, well, it's your cup of tea, really. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but consistently, elements within the party that was founded now on his ideology have worked to alienate him from the party.
How do you mean?
Babies with sharp teeth insulting him left, right, and center.
People insulted Kufuor also when NDC was in power. When Kufuor was invited to the inauguration of President Mahama,
people expressed
and they went to block. Wait. You know, is the road that leads to the mainstream.
In any event, Mr. Kufuor, former President Kufuor, is not the founder of the insulted party.
But he's somebody who holds high.
Let's not compare apples with oranges here. We are dealing with one particular individual, Mr. Rollins, who
the point I'm making that there's dissent in every party.
There's dissent in every party, I agree. That's no problem. But I'm talking of the consistent attempt that has been.
Where consistency means what?
Mr. Rollins has expressed this openly about people, elements within the party who have consistently worked to alienate him from the party.
Oh, how?
Fact.
How?
And you can see his body language at the Congress.
But
he issued a one-liner, one-line statement. Listen to you. Spoke like a father.
He didn't.
You call what
listen to yourself
there as the statement of a father to his children.
Yes. Listen to yourself. That's what a father
clearly did not want to be there.
The man said,
but he had to.
Why? Nobody dragged him there. Did anybody drag him there?
You see, I do not know the internal workings of what happened.
He was happy there. He said he was happy. He danced.
Oh, really?
Yes, he danced. He came.
Did you see him dance?
Beautiful. He danced.
No, I wasn't there. I didn't watch it.
You didn't see it. You were not there. The cameras definitely will not capture every activity there. The cameras will definitely.
But to the substantive issue, I mean, I don't know to what extent that the attempt to alienate him from the party would work. Because
but is somebody alienating him from the party?
There is no attempt. There is no attempt. There is no attempt.
Well.
There's no attempt.
All the surrounding circumstances that we read and see,
that's mischief.
We can interpret it any which way we want. But you and I know that the factual situation is that Mr. Rollins has consistently, been the work has been done to alienate him from the party.
No, I mean, what is
that the dominant role that he had in the past no longer exists.
How?
Blocks have emerged that clearly seeks to alienate him. That's a fact. You guys can deny it. But I'm saying that he has a strong following in the party. He's still a very, very formidable figure.
Of course.
And I don't think that attempt would necessarily succeed, and that his influence, to the extent that he remains around, will still largely be felt within the NDC.
I just want to ask my brother something. Do you know everything between me and Rollins? Do you know?
How am I supposed to know?
No, but he has criticized me before. I've criticized him before.
Yes.
It doesn't spoil anything.
Yes.
Okay, so that's
we have a family relationship.
Look,
very well.
Let's put President Rollins' rule
into proper perspective. There too.
No,
I'm
very aware of that.
No, but wait.
I'm very aware of that.
There is a clear balance.
I'm very aware of that.
I can deal with it.
Even playing field.
I'm very much aware of that. Yes.
Let's also look at the historical antecedents of the NDC.
Yes.
When we lost in 2000, we went for the Congress that decided that we're no longer going to have a dual chairmanship.
Yes.
Rollins wanted a dual chairman. We wanted a single chairman in respect of what the NPP had then, so that we could now have a central person who had.
The NPP really provided a template for you guys.
Yes. They always learn from us.
We have we have evolved as a party alongside the NPP because
they are learning from us, not alongside us.
They are a more experienced political
as a political grouping. They are old men.
They are old men, more experienced, and doing it better than
you can compare a party that
we have decentralized to the point
from
where
UGCC.
We held the biggest congress with the biggest membership in this country's history. Even though they are older than us, and they are even in power, and they haven't even decentralized to that point.
Very well.
So the point being that Rawlings slowly but gradually has evolved from being the former president or the one who was at the center of the party,
the commando of the party.
Well, you know,
see, consciously he's omitting to use the word founder.
The pivot. You know, because he was president, the party was military, came into civilian.
So the party revolved around him.
The party evolved around to a point where he is playing the more fatherly role that we expect him to play. Whilst the party grows and rebirths a new generation. We have a new generation of leadership. If you look at the generation from the look at the council of elders that we have, it has a whole history of persons who belong to the PNDC era.
Isif and all those.
And then we now have a new crop of leadership with the Nilante Vanderpoel, the Fusuan Pofus, and then we even have a younger
coming up
with Sammy Jane Fields and
yourselves.
You understand? That actually is a testament to President Rawlings, that through his vision, we have had about 3 or 4 generations of persons who have bought into the ideology. If nobody believes in his ideology, then he should have died with his leaving power. But now his ideology has become virtually the other alternative in Ghana politics, other than the CPP tradition. And I think it's a plus for him.
Very well. Let me. I'll come to you. Okay, no, let me just deal with you on.
But it's our party, so we should be the one to be speaking more. It's our territory of our Congress.
But you need his views as well.
But he said he did not really bother what happened within the NDC.
The new direction of the NDC. Or where we are going.
It's also very important in this. You know, there's been a lot of talk about the communication of the NDC, that you've had poor communication, etc. But there's emerged this new guy, Sammy Jemfi, who appears to be the new kid on the block. And, you know, the buzz is causing on social media, even the share numbers he pulled against the more establishment candidate, if you like, Fred Agbenyo. Does the party feel that he holds the key to unlocking the potential within the NDC in terms of helping you communicate what the party stands for and rebranding it and making it attractive for election 2020?
Let me be frank with you. It is not the issue about Sammy Jemfi. Yeah. It's an issue about the NDC.
But his election generated
I agree with you. There are thousands of young people able to communicate effectively and more efficiently in the party today. But these thousands of communicators have seen in him as a young prodigy who possibly will
provide them the leadership, because they've always been there.
Yeah, I have no doubt. I have no doubt in my mind. It's shown. The young boy has shown, as Papu said. The Bible even said God appoints people for a season. It's gotten to this time when God saw that, look, one of the areas and I'm telling you, point blank, NDC supporters is magnificent. Look, one of the key areas where the MPP beat us in 2016 was on social media.
Yes.
They did a lot of work on social media. And so the God himself has chosen for one young boy who is also very articulate on social media, who is very prominent on social media. So that God, in a way, is using the party strategies to resolve a problem that we have prayed over. So I see him as an answer to one of the many communication problems we had. Not he alone. He has had people look at his combination. Akogan is very prominent. Kogubwine, very good, articulate in tree. One of the areas where the MPP have used their propaganda and their lies to perpetuate their hold on votes is the Akan communities, on the radio stations and all the Akan radio stations. And so if God has chosen for us 2 strong, proficient people who speak fluent Akan tree, to lead our communication. So it tells you that it is not just a matter of NDC people going together and just voting for somebody. The delegates were very conscious of what they are looking for in 2020.
That's the new attraction that we are talking about.
You see, the Congress also brought out something about a dozen candidates gunning to be flag bearer of your party. I don't know if that number is going up beyond 12.
We don't have anybody who wants to be flag bearer of our party.
What are you saying? There are people who go, they are going around. Yes, that's what I mean. They want to be. What's the intent? No, what's the intent? The intent is to be flag bearer. So I'm right in saying people who want over a dozen. I don't know if the number has gone up. You know,
since to check with the general secretary to find how many have written officially.
Yeah, but anytime they wrote,
on record, we have just about 7 people who have written.
Really?
Between 7 and 8, I believe.
Yes. All right, I don't want to go into that now. But one of these candidates, former President Mahama, was given very prominent roles to play to the extent that I don't know if it was official song for the Congress or not. The Bobolibo song was played on stage and people danced to it. And the other candidates or the other persons gunning to be flag bearers have complained that the Congress provided Mahama, you know, an advantage over them. What do you say to that? You're one of the 94 MPs who signed for him.
What has stopped me from composing my song and playing it?
No, I mean, on that stage.
There's nothing wrong. Some people, individuals brought their publicity machines.
No, I mean, I'm talking about like official, play it officially.
John Mahama has not commissioned any song. I just want to place on record. John Dramani Mahama has not commissioned any song. If you want an answer to this, then you have to look at the organizing committee of the Congress.
No, but I'm speaking to you as a member of the party and as an MP, very prominent member of the party. You know, doesn't that amount to giving him unfair advantage? So whoever composes a song, and that song, by whichever means or whatever means, finds its way into the official playlist of the program, and it's played there.
Sometimes I want to be very objective about certain things. We live in an idealistic world and a realist world. Realistically, who is seen as the symbol of leadership in the NDC today?
I don't know. You have the party chairman. You're party chairman. Who is the leader of your party?
Yes, we know. Legally, on paper, when we are in opposition, the party chairman is leader. But at every point in time, let me tell you something. Let me tell you a funny story. In 2000, I happened to have been a commentator at the National Festival of Arts and Culture in Bolgatanga. Then I was working with GBC. And that was a time when the late President Mills was a candidate. You understand? The NDC has chosen him as the flag bearer for the elections. But then Jerry Rawlings was still the president. So they all came for the program. The sort of rousing welcome that late President Mills received as then the vice president by the NDC flag bearer was so overwhelming that it touched President Rawlings. Yes, for him to say that I've not even gone, and you have all of a sudden abandoned me. Wow. So certain things are issues of reality, whether we like it or today. The immediate person who led us to the battle was John.
The battle you lost.
Yes, and he's there. He said, "Look, I led you to battle and we lost. I've seen my mistakes. I'm offering myself to get you back to where we should have been." Expect that no matter what, every person will want to gravitate towards that philosophy and that ideology.
And those who have a problem, some people complain, but the point is there was an organizing committee. If there are official protests by persons,
so that protest should be lodged with the organizing committee.
For example, some of those aspirants had the opportunity of sitting on the platform provided to talk to radio, television, and the rest.
But that one is your own personality, not official.
But I'm saying that
I get the point. The
platform presented opportunity.
I'm only echoing the concerns of people who have said
the platform presented opportunity for everyone at that particular time. So if they had opportunity to speak on television, that which has been provided.
I don't foresee I don't see a situation where a Spio Gabra song, for example, will be played by the official DJ at such a program. You get me? So that clearly was giving him an advantage, but that's fine. You see, there are 2 years. So given what they are saying, the communication bit, which they say was a problem, appears now. It appears that they are now, or they found the solution to that in Sami Jemfi. So, like he said, now they are muting your communication strengths in the account speaking areas, and also chipping away your base. I mean, part of your base, which is the intelligentsia or the middle class or the
youth, especially the university,
the university class. Yeah. You know, do you have the same sense that they are trying to get that side of it correct?
No, but of course, I mean, that statement itself will presuppose that the people who managed our 2016 social media campaign no longer exist. And so Sammy JV all of a sudden will find a space to penetrate and create some distortions for us. I don't think so at all.
The father, it wasn't as sharp as yours. Now they are almost there.
The father loses. Doesn't mean the team.
We are not. We are.
Let him learn, please. It's one.
You may have learned your lessons, but we don't have lessons to learn. We don't have to find creative ways of improving on what we did in the past. So you see, the narrative seemed to suggest to me that they think that the NPP is going to sleep. And so they will have the space to do all the things that they could not do in 2016. But look, Selorm, 2016, we're here. We're not on mass, we're right here. We saw their communication, we saw the big billboards, we saw the advertisements, we saw the concerts. We saw the newspaper, we saw all of it. Still did not have any impact.
No, election communication is not the communication of a party.
Fine, let him finish.
Compare the two personalities who appeals better to the people of Ghana. Sammy Jemfi and Yabuabina Samwa. Compare the two personalities who are managing the affairs of both parties' communications. Who has the experience? So I always say that they, of course.
But who has the momentum?
Exactly. That's what I thought.
He just won an election. They just came out of an election.
But it's important because if he's smart, he may carry that momentum with him, and that could
let him do so, and we'll see.
That could help him.
Let him do it. Then we'll see. I haven't even noticed his presence on any social media platform because I don't belong to the platforms that he is on.
Yes.
He is on NDC platforms.
But now he has national prominence.
National prominence, what does it mean?
What have you seen?
Have you seen
his following on Facebook?
I haven't. How many people follow him? 1 million? 2 million?
Those are the things you should be worried about.
I'm not worried at all because our communication structure is still functional, in place.
And are very, very oiled.
Very much oiled as we were in opposition. You see, I do a lot of media work for my party.
Yes.
I don't get paid for the work that I do. But I'm motivated because, like I said, I'm convinced without a doubt that this party that is presently in government holds the key to the development of this country going forward. And so I have to contribute my quota in ensuring that the destiny of my children are protected. That's my duty as a father. Okay, so it's not the resources per se. And we will go out as and when required to do what is needed to ensure that we articulate the issues clearly for the people of Ghana to understand and make a choice in 2020. Look, I'm only hoping. But clearly from what has transpired in the past week, that they would, as always, not stick to issue-based campaigning and would do the I don't want to use rabble-rousing. I mean, they would go the way that they're going, create their own distortions and invite everybody to debate it.
This week?
You understand?
What did you do this week?
You heard Akamba and Co on Asempa FM, even following the untimely demise of Honorable Agyarko, the kinds of comments that they were making. And these are people who have been elected.
But we didn't hear that. So I didn't hear that. So
all sorts of comments that are not worthy of repeating on this platform.
Very well. So let's stick to this.
These are your national officers. These are your national officers.
You understand? Everything that your people say
that is representative
of your party. It's not correct. Look, I mean, we should also be a bit fair.
Marcel, I just want to make one point.
Statements that are made by some members of my party are unpalatable. I agree.
Yes.
But from national officers,
from MPs, sometimes from MPs.
Oh, are MPs national officers?
National officers of the party.
National officers of your party.
Some MPs are part of
the national executive. which MPs are part of national executive.
MPs not represented on national executive committee.
But if not, they go to the what you call it, the steering committee meetings. Yes. But that's not national executive. I mean, the distinction that I'm making is very clear. So let's not try and raise the issues.
Go ahead, yeah.
You understand? So, well, we'll see how he brings the momentum, as you see it, to, as it were, propel the NDC in their communication field that they think they lack. But like I said, we saw them in 2016. They were very prominent everywhere. Ghanaians decided to focus on the issues. And you see,
yes,
there's this comment that always tends to be coming from your side.
Yes.
That the MPP focused on propaganda and lies.
True.
That's why it's obvious. It's actually true.
You've never heard me say that.
You see, no, I said me.
The two are me. So you could say me and it depends everybody.
I've said it several times. And it's
you see,
I can give you examples to substantiate that.
We are politicians. We both have manifestos that contain our vision for the people of Ghana. Now, oftentimes we are unable to achieve all the promises of vision that we articulate to the people of Ghana. And so if we are unable to achieve some of them, and you turn around to say that they lied, what do you mean? When in fact, you have a manifesto from 2008, 2012, that you did not even achieve 40%. So at the time that you were selling yourselves to Ghanaians, and now you are going around making promises to the people of Ghana that you know potentially you cannot achieve. But of course, you work at achieving it. So if you are unable to achieve it, are you lying to the people of Ghana? Did you lie to the people of Ghana in 2008 when you told them that you're going to do a one-time premium and did not achieve? Did you lie?
The one-time premium was subjected to.
So why do we use words like that? That's my worry.
Analysis.
Okay, so let's depart from that narrative.
Let me explain to you so you understand me. You understand me? So I just want you to
I take serious exception when people refer to me as a liar. Because I know that I'm not.
Yeah.
So at the time of the comment, you believed it could happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Issues may arise.
I'm not focused on manifestos.
Let's not.
My point is not on manifestos.
People make statements on political platforms. Okay, off the cuff statements.
Yes.
You do it. We do it. I'm not going to deny it. But if we come to power, what is the program that the government is expected to run? Off the cuff platform statements or what is contained in the manifesto? So why don't we focus on it and deal with the issues? By all means, critique. Because, yes, we'll have to critique and proffer alternatives that should be the selling point for the people of Ghana. But if we go on the tangents of you lied. Are you also lying? I don't get it.
I agree with you.
Let's not do that.
On the use of decent language. For me, I think that it is very, very important that the discourse that we have on various platforms must be that is based on genuine criticism of whatever it is that people are presented as manifestos. But I think that we should also give the NDC a little bit of credit when we say that we have a momentum. Our momentum is not based on the fact that we just came out of a Congress. Our momentum is based on the fact that just like you did in 2008 when you lost your election, you did a review of yourselves. You felt that, look, you had to rebrand. I have forgotten the theme that you used.
Something recapture.
And then the next one was even more interest. After they lost in 2008, 2012, they then gave another. It was almost like they built a certain momentum from 2008, and when it didn't even work in 2012, they went back, looked at their whatever had gone on, and then further strengthened themselves to capture power. That is the credit that we also expect you to give us. That before 2016, we had a certain structure. We've come to the realization that it didn't work for us. We have gone back to the drawing board. We have started something.
It is not my duty to give credit for your momentum.
But in fairness.
In fairness. If you want to talk about
your belief,
but you don't need this credit. You don't need this credit.
You are going to win election 2020. And I'm telling you that that's not possible.
If he decides not to give us the credit, we don't have a problem.
But what credit do I have to give you for your alleged
No, you see,
increasing momentum.
You are talking about being honest and credible in our discourse.
So I should admit that your party is energized and you have momentum.
Oh no, you didn't see anything.
But okay. How am I supposed to say that?
We have to go for a break.
I just want to make a comment on that.
Let me give one question.
The issue, I just want to, as a communications person, let me say here, communication is just not an event to achieve a particular objective for a particular time. Communication is a process that is built along the line. So Mensah should not delude himself to thinking that all the billboards and things we did towards 2016 was our communication. All along the line,
including the
were we able to communicate with our people the grassroots and the Ghanaians as to what our
those were the tools that you were using to communicate.
And what were they doing?
In 2008, you published a book, beach to beach. You had parties.
And
then
I just the same decency of language and this thing that he's professing is the reason why I have continuously said they use propaganda and lies to win 2016. Because I listen to MPP people in Brother Afro region telling DKM customers that DKM belongs to Dramani Kofi Mahama and that the Londina has come to take all the money from DKM and that's why their monies cannot be paid. You understand? I heard the original secretary. I had somebody like Abronye saying those things.
Abronye said that.
I'm saying that when you do things, what are you referring to? Look, the propaganda was so huge, was so loud that even when we have gone to the Bronga Afro region for National Sanitation Day, we were chased out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You understand?
We mentioned factual matters.
Yes,
it's a fact.
Look,
fact.
Let's take this last one. Go for a break.
Fact. Mass branding. Fact.
Very well. That's the complexion.
So, boss, it's a fact.
Boss, it's your own creation.
It's
your own creation. Of course.
This is the big issue coming to life from our studios at number 11, Dr. Montinu, and at the Rakana crowd. We will come back and then continue the discussion. We'll move to the next subject where we come back. I wanted to actually ask Neil and Tevanda whether the complexion of the new executives tilts the flag bearership race towards a certain direction, but you guys will not allow me. So yes. So it's in March now. Okay, all right, very well. Okay, they amended that part. No, they amended the constitution. All right, so we'll be right back. We'll come back and discuss the other matters on the plate. Don't go away.
Hi everybody, my name is Lydia Forson. Join me on the Hall of Fame with AJ this Saturday at 5 p.m. on Citi TV.
Live music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personalities. Be our guest on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on Citi TV and Citi 97.3 FM.
All right, welcome back to the big issue. Let me make this announcement. There is this public lecture the journalist of the year will be addressing. Bernard Kokoavle is the journalist of the year, and there is a national conversation he will be engaging the country in. So the topic is rethinking the national conversation. The venue for that is at the Sweet Spirits Hotel in Alisa at the Ridge in Accra. The date is Tuesday, 27th November 2018. The time is 6 p.m. It is strictly by invitation, and if you are interested in attending, kindly call this number 020-597-3973. 020-597-3973. And this is being done in conjunction with the Ghana Journalists Association, Citi 97.3 FM, and Citi TV. Bernard will be engaging the public on rethinking the national conversation. An evening with Bernard Able. So that is it for you. So if you want a ticket or you want to be part, limited seating available. There's limited seating, so it is strictly by invitation. If you want to attend, call the numbers I gave, and you'll be attended to. So it's on a first come, first served basis. Yes, let me take a few of the comments which have come through on the NDC Congress. A number of you have been sending your comments, and if you want to do that, you can do so via 0549-986-996, 0549-986-996. Well, my 0549-986-996. Good day, Selorm. The attitude and posture of the NDC is a disturbing reminder that not everyone prizes truth and honesty. Tell them Ghanaians rather rejected them. From Kobe at Ondona. Awudie Bernard from Madina says, Selorm, in as much as I wish NDC executives well, I'm appealing to them to be responsible as far as politics is concerned. Same also goes to the MPP and other political parties. Kudos to you and your guests as well. You extend your regards to my producer, Fred. Good morning, Selorm. For some powerful statement about the protection of the ballot boxes at the election centers is akin to him bringing in vigilante groups from the polling station. This is Benny from KNUST, and the hashtag, he hashtagged CTCBS. This one says, hi, good morning. I am Victor, and we want the bereaved family, that is Agyarko's family, to know that death to just a man, only a sweet sleep, but the end of necessary toils and the beginning of blessed immortality. May God strengthen you and stay strong in this time of grief. Well, a number of comments still here. Energizing just because of taxpayers' money. What at all do politicians do to help citizens? This Godwin is asking. We've got a discussion about energizing. Whether the NDC is energized now or the MPP is more energized. And it's asking if the energized claim they are both making is as a result of citizens or taxpayers' money. Interesting one. All right, so let's get to the next discussion. The numbers, the presidential staffers, 998, now 1614, 1,614. That's quite a huge jump. And the government has been defending that. The president himself said that we shouldn't focus on the numbers, we should focus on the output, because the mess they came to meet is so huge that he needs extra hands to deal with that. And the taxpayer is having to spend some good money on these people just to ensure that the president carries us to where he envisions us to be and where we really want to be. I'll start with Honorable Mesa. Honorable Mesa, you know, when the 998 figure came out, it generated such a huge outcry. The public thought that it was too huge a number. And whilst everybody thought that in the next year the number will reduce, we are really seeing a huge jump from the 998 to 1,614. How do you justify that?
Well, there's been no jump in the numbers.
998 and 1,614.
There's been no jump because the 1,614 is only a ceiling that has been provided for in the budget. What that means is that owing to some request that the presidency had made in the discussions with the finance ministry, approval has been given for up to that number to be recruited. But you see,
so we don't have those number of people as we speak, but it could get to that number. That's the point.
It could, or it could not. And I can assure you that the information that I have is that the 998 will not change. Indeed, if you look in the 2018 budget, the ceiling that was approved for the Office of Government Machinery was higher than the 1614. And I have the budget statement here for the benefit, just for the benefit of everyone, if I may. The ceiling that was approved in the 2018 budget was 1697.
1697.
But you are here talking of 998. And the truth of the matter is that the 2018 figures would actually be submitted to Parliament 3 months after the end of the financial year, which is March, per the Presidential Office Act. So the talk and the impression that is being created out there, in any event, let me give you one interesting statistic. If you look at the provision that was made in the 2018 budget for the Office of Government Machinery, it was 119 million. So obviously, if the intent is to increase the number of personnel in the office from the 998 or even the ceiling of 1697 higher, the provision that would be made in the 2019 budget for that figure will obviously be higher. Correct?
Yes.
But the fact is that in the 2019 budget, the provision for that office has actually been reduced from 119 to 110. But because of the politicking and the mischief that my friends want to create, they've gone to town. Yes.
They do read the budget.
Because you've been in government before. You know that ceilings are not actuals. But you've gone to town to play the mischief.
Prevention is better than cure.
And suggest to the people of Ghana that, bloated government. Knowing very well also that this 998 people includes public and civil servants who were not appointed by the president.
What are you talking?
No, you see, look, Selorm, before we came on show, I was pointing out to him the provisions of the Presidential Office Act. The category of persons who are described as presidential staff are persons who are appointed by His Excellency the President. They serve at the pleasure of the President, and their term of office expires with that of the President. But the presidential office includes public and civil servants who have been seconded to the office of the President.
The postmaster.
But for political convenience and to create the impression and have the effect that bloated government, they mix all the two together and say, we said it. They said they were coming to protect the public purse. But look at the number of people that they've employed. When they know that out of the 998, 760 of them are actually public and civil servants who the president has no hand in their appointment. Look at the figures.
You see?
In fact, I would be happy to have a conversation when His Excellency the President submits the list of people who work at the Flagstaff House or Jubilee House in 2019 March to Parliament, and if the number increases beyond the 998, we'll have a conversation. But for political convenience, I don't want to borrow the words of the Venerable Kweku Bako. What they've engaged in is pure premature ejaculation. Pure and simple.
The biggest.
All right.
Unbelievable.
You guys are running ahead of yourselves.
No, you see,
completely.
When they were in opposition,
there you go, equalization.
They hit
when they were in opposition.
Yes, they hit the NDC
when they were in opposition.
So you are equalizing.
It's nothing to do with equalization. When you pontificate, you understand that I am the worst sinner that could ever have walked the surface of the earth. The expectation is that you will be holy. If you pontificate more than the Pope, then the expectation is that your behavior will be above reproach. That you'll be seen as wife.
You understand? That we then takes me back to the same cycle. When you were campaigning in 2008, at the time you were in opposition,
yes.
What did you say?
So the same thing. So it's like a cycle.
You see, there you go. You see, one of the biggest things that was used to hit President Mahama.
And what did you use to hit the NPP in 2008?
And the government, and the NDC government then, was that we just were wasting the taxes of this country.
Of course.
We were.
It's not true.
So when you, especially when you came,
the first thing,
the first thing that we expected when
budget line items.
President Akufo-Addo came in was that
but judgment then have to be paid. You have to survive for it.
Those are contingencies. They are not.
Don't be distracted.
They are not.
If we had 90,
what are we talking about?
If we had 90 ministers, President Akufo-Addo was coming to rule this country with 24 ministers.
No, that's a stretch.
Why is it a stretch?
But he never said so.
No, he didn't say so. I agree. You understand? But he also didn't tell us that he was going to set new world records.
Because according to the mess he met in office was unprecedented.
See, if you meet mess, you don't create more mess in an attempt to clean the mess. So if President Akufo set a certain number of ministers, President Mills had a certain number of ministers, President Mahama had a certain number of ministers, and you come with change in mind, with guarding the public purse, you cannot go over your predecessors.
No, but how about this? If there's mess, you need more hands to clean the mess. In good time.
Efficiency does not depend on numbers. Efficiency is not about numbers.
Here is the case. We have records. President Rawlings, President Kufuor, President Mills, President Mahama. You are saying that you are coming to be better than all the past governments that ever
because the agenda is big.
The agenda is big. But you never told us. Then you should have been forward that when I come, I'm going to set a new record by going beyond my predecessors and doing 110 ministers. So that when you come, we all know that. Then we will have told you that you have no basis to criticize us. But you come in and you set a new world record. 110 ministers. In fact, we became the laughing stock of many news platforms and news portals. That we had one of the biggest governments in the whole world, including deputy ministers. And then we to make it even worse, you then add on to the presidential staff. I can understand his argument with the issue of the presidential staff. I would advocate that we should have a separate ministry deal with, so that we can have a clear distinction between those offices that come under the presidency.
You're advocating the creation of a separate ministry?
No, like in President Kufuor's
the Presidential Affairs Ministry.
We had the Presidential Affairs Ministry, so that we know the number of people that come under the office of the president, irrespective of staff. You understand? It will help to check this distortion between, these people are seconded to the office, and then these people are offices that are also under the president. You know, there are other offices that come under the president of the Ghana Aids Commission and other. So when you add those numbers, then the numbers will appear, so that we are clear in our minds that under the office of the president, these are the number of people that are appointed. These are the number of people that the president, so that we have some limits. And maybe Parliament can, in its own wisdom, put some limits on it. You can have maybe 100 persons, up to 100 people. So if the president appoints maybe 60 or 70, we say, we've done well. But when you have 110 ministers, and then you have those ones, we have a right to criticize. You can't take that away from us. We will criticize you, that you can do better.
So the criticism, yes. But he's saying that do so within the context of what the truth is.
One of the things we are allowed to do is to preempt some of the instincts, because we know that we have instincts.
You go fishing.
It has nothing to do with fishing. When we believe that knowing, you see, and the thing
like saying, for example, government is going to increase VAT, then everybody goes haywire, only to realize that it's not true.
VAT has been increased. Who's ever
if you have a government that is able to appoint 110 ministers, then when you see a certain ceiling,
it's actually 111.
111. Then you begin to sound the alarm bells that, look, if we are not careful, we'll be here, and before we realize, we would have jumped and quadrupled the number of presidential staffers. So please, Mr. President, we beg you, watch the pace.
You see, let me be frank with you. I have worked in the presidency before.
You're director of operations in Moses government.
These things are not new. In fact, it's a requirement that the president must always do. I found my name on that list. You understand? And on that list included people who have been seconded to work in the presidency. It's done all the time. President Kufuor's time, it was 712. President Mills, President Mahama's time, it came down to 678. As a time we're exiting 678. It's a requirement President Mahama submitted. And in that list, gardeners, presidential staffers, and caterers, and everything.
The ministry will set out all those things clearly.
We requested for this. Haruna Iddrisu subsequently mentioned it. It took time before the president even went against the law.
In terms of the timing.
In terms of the timing. So we had to impress upon the speaker to force the presidency to submit a list. When a list was brought, it's bloated from the imaginary figure of between 600 and 700 as pertained from Rawlings's time to President Mahama's time to 998. And everybody was alarmed. In fact, included on that list is a lady in waiting. Where we've not seen that before in the presidency. So people talk about it. You understand? We expect that, like Ni Samoa said, in a government that says it's protecting the public purpose, I will not sit here and accept any explanation because of what we came to meet. The MPP and Adonoo knew what they were coming to meet. It was based upon those things that they made all those promises and pledges. If you didn't know the problem, you wouldn't have prescribed the solution you will be providing for them to resolve the problem. So they knew what the problems were. They knew the economic situation. They knew the social situation we have in the country. They knew the problems we have. And they decided that they were going to use...
You remember the famous Kayaye are suffering.
Yes.
Teachers are suffering.
Drivers are suffering. Policemen are suffering.
He didn't mention lawyers.
Everybody is suffering.
Yeah, but minus lawyers. He didn't mention lawyers.
Everybody is suffering.
Yeah, you understand? All those things have been said. And then when you come and you decide that, look, in spite of this, I'm going to have 111 ministers.
Yes.
And I'm going to increase the number of staff assistants. I haven't come to that. These are presidential staffers,
yes.
998, and then the number of special assistants in the various ministry departments to cause the Civil Servants Association and the other civil organizations to complain about the fact that the ministries are being taken over by politicians and political appointees.
With their consultants.
It's never happened before in our country. Today, as we are talking,
special assistants have never been appointed in our country.
I said the number. I'm talking about number. To the extent that one ministry alone, 100 and something people were counted.
Yes.
1 ministry.
As special assistants.
Progress.
Besides that,
we can make progress.
In 1 minute. Didn't you listen to
which ministry?
Ministry of Finance.
It's not true.
Oh, please.
But you see, the Ministry of Finance is grown. Like the point I want to make.
The Ministry of Finance under the NDC was different from the Ministry of Finance.
You made a point about President Kufuor's time, Mills and co. But you see, the avenues and the challenges and everything, they've all grown. Because, for example, in President Kufuor's time, we didn't have social media the way it is. So today, in an Adonoo government, you will not be doing yourself good and the country good if you don't have a well-fitted social media outfit.
What's the Minister of Information and what's the Information Services Department? What are they ministry for?
We have the presidency.
The presidency.
We have a communication
setup. Why do we block
the
presidency and leave the civil service, who is supposed to be the bedrock of political administration?
That is why, perhaps, a government that is forward-looking would prescribe clear guidelines, as I'm calling for. Let's go back. There's a ministry for presidential affairs. Tell us how many people the president needs, so that we don't have any excuse that any other organs are being fitted into the presidency.
I've not finished. You see, what worries me is that we've had in the country where we've had rationalizations of employment and employees at various levels in order to fit our economic paradigm. To extend that to President Kufuor, a whole ministry of public reform. What's that? We've had institutions being given ceilings of appointments. If we politicians continue to have an absolute number of appointees, as we are talking today, look at the budget. National security alone is over 3,000
people.
Yes.
But
from about 1,000 something to 3,000.
But it means there's more work for them to do.
What work? What work? What work?
So why do you think
we have Minister of Interior, we have Minister of Defense, we have the Police Service,
but
we have all these things.
They have separate job descriptions.
I'm saying that when you continue to project an image of job for the boys, family and friends,
national security is job for the boys.
Oh, but what is it for?
You did the same.
What I'm saying that we didn't have these numbers.
But the numbers of the cost on
these are the facts we're talking about. Because if you see, like he said, if you pontificate, you'll be subjected to the lines of pontification and the perimeters within which you made those statements. And that's why I'm saying that, like Mensah himself said, we should be careful as politicians the sort of things we say. But I'm saying here that it raises cause for complaint, especially at the time when Ghanaians are suffering.
Also, Ghanaians are you the one saying so? Ghanaians are saying so. Others will think otherwise.
But Ghanaians are suffering all over. Everyone is talking about it. Ghanaians are suffering. The president himself conceded that yes, there's suffering. The Minister of Finance came to Parliament. He conceded that there are difficulties in the economy. We all know. And but you see, I'm saying that when you're going to ask the public servant, if you're going to ask the civil
servant, what did the president add to that?
I'm saying, well, if you're going to, he said, well, but they will try and
we are working on it.
Fine.
The mess that you left. You said that it would take time.
Every government will have
never again.
Every government
shall we return back to Egypt?
We remember that president.
We shall never return to Egypt.
Mills Mahama government met a mess, a huge mess of Kufuor's government. They worked on it. One of the mess that we inherited that today we've sought for them to benefit from is energy crisis. Energy crisis.
No, but the crisis
when
came.
When was leaving office, we didn't have Dumsor.
Who said?
No,
we didn't.
The Dumsor got to its peak in Mohammed's time.
We didn't. Thank you. Because of experiences that we encountered with the weather. One cent of energy.
You built it.
Over a period. You built it.
Because it took us time.
You started to do the expansion of the
we became
these guys
until Mills came to power.
Very well. Honorable Mensah, what was the way forward on this? You have the last word on this. How should we communicate these numbers? What should be the attitude to government and governments in terms of numbers at the presidency? Whether I call them staff or per the law or staffers in practical terms.
In fact, there's no usage of the word staffers in the Act.
It's staff.
It's presidential staff. And of course, public and civil servants who together constitutes the presidential office.
Okay.
And so, to that extent, yes, I don't have a problem.
And political appointees.
Yeah, the political appointees are part of the presidential staff.
So what I'm saying that we are using that
we can have a conversation about
capping, so we are going to the way forward.
Capping the number of people who are engaged in offices of that nature, like you stated. And of course, even going forward, if we as a country think that we necessarily ought to have a set number of ministries, let's engage in that conversation. I'm prepared to have that discourse.
Wonderful.
Okay, so that we take the decision to realign or create new ministries out of the hands of the president. Of course,
I think Parliament should have
that conversation. I'm prepared to
Parliament should have a listing on it.
Playing mischief
because
clearly
it doesn't help anybody.
With figures when you know that the allegations that you are making cannot be sustained per the facts. It's problematic.
Is that factual?
Look, and nobody is going to run away from the 110 ministers because they haven't been appointed and aiding them under the table. Their names were announced openly, publicly. They were vetted in Parliament. And the president has indicated to the people of Ghana why he appointed those numbers of people.
Which is still
and has gone ahead to tell us that within the 4 years of the mandate that the people of Ghana have given him, the work that they will do would vindicate the kinds of numbers that he appointed.
I don't
have a problem if you agree or disagree.
I don't believe after 4 years they will vindicate him.
You can agree or not agree.
That's the president's that's the president's belief.
Yesterday during the debate, I raised the issue of, look, the president himself said in the State of the Nation address delivered in March that a mere creation of districts and regions do not solve our problem.
Exactly.
The late Kofi Annan said it, that creation of regions is not a panacea to resolving countries' problems, because if you have the same basket of food and you have more children, what you rather do is that you create a malnourishment for your children. It's the same thing we're having here. Let me tell you something here. That's what I'm saying, that it's not about numbers.
You didn't participate
for example,
in the drafting of your manifesto.
Yeah, for example, let me say this. Look,
you didn't.
No, but, I'm just wondering, what was that point on district creation and region creation?
No, I'm saying that. Look,
doing here.
For example, yesterday, as I said, if we have districts that we've created, they are not resourced. They don't have the offices. They don't have the personnel. Why do you create more?
But the deputy minister of
so then come in there. So when I say that, for example, local government, you have a minister and 3 deputy ministers. Local government.
Obiamo proved you wrong yesterday.
You took the jobs and the monies that go to local government to establish another ministry of development initiative and give them the same job that either to
special initiative.
What
the special initiative?
That is not true.
So the president wants to give special attention to
the president wants to commission. Please, 25% of common fund has been cut and being used for this work.
That's not true.
The toilets that the assemblies were building, under assemblymen and MPs were building, is not a special initiative that the president should drive all the way to Eastern Region and go and commission a toilet.
President has not gone to Eastern Region to commission.
But the president is on a national, is on a regional tour. And he's done a lot of other things, including the University of Environment and Sustainable Development.
What is the Ministry of Special Initiative doing that the district assemblies were not doing in the first place?
They are procuring ambulances. They are building warehouses.
So we don't have a ministry that
requires special focus.
What are you talking about?
It's just like saying that certain so there's local development, for example. The president wants a special attention. Yes,
I'm saying this. Obama said something.
Strong institutions.
Strong institutions. It's about why don't we make sure that we build these institutions to deliver on the mandate that for example, I'm saying this. Look, for example, me, I believe that the bedrock of decentralization is fiscal decentralization.
Okay.
If you're not giving assemblies what they require in order to embark upon these programs themselves. Today, as we sit here in this budget, as they are talking about, they said they providing borehole in Adan, where you know that Adan is salty. So why don't you give the money to the Adan assembly for them to decide what their priority is?
But they're not doing this in silos. They are doing so certainly
I'm saying
together with the assembly.
The issue is that we are practicing decentralization. Now this government is taking us back.
In fact, under this government, we're voting for the first time for district assembly MCs.
It's a proposal.
No, but it's happening.
It's something that has been on the drawing board for years.
No, but this government appears
for years.
What did you do?
Taking it to the next
we
level.
set up the presidential commission
To do what?
to review these things, to go and see whether this is part of it. We set up under President Mills.
All right, very well.
It's based on the organization.
Honorable-
It's based on the President set up the white paper came out of President Mama's cabinet.
All right, very well. Honorable Mensah has the last word on this. So you can put your tea down and finish it.
Yes, I mean, like I said, the mischief is not going to go anywhere.
Nobody is mischievous
when we
about this.
expose them about the numbers, now they are going to institutional capacity.
We have exposed you about
You haven't exposed anybody. I've shown you clearly that if the intent is to increase the numbers, the allocations to that office of government machinery would have gone up. It's come down.
Oh, as for allocations,
It has come down.
Everybody's allocation has come down because you are not meeting your target.
That's not true.
You are not meeting your revenue target.
That's not true.
So everybody's allocation has come down.
The budget is here.
Very well. So let him conclude and move on to the next issue.
So, yes, as it is, the facts that were put out by Honorable Okujeto Abarakwa in the past week regarding the numbers that have gone up from 998 to 1614 is clearly untrue.
How? Okujeto Abarakwa did not bring these figures. It's the Minister of Finance who have brought these
I
figures.
pointed out to you that even the ceiling in 2008 was higher than the 2009
That was
one. The actual figure that was recruited was 998.
So the point is making is that we may have this figure, but they won't hit this from experience.
We criticized them last time.
Please.
They will have hit the number if we have not criticized. If you and I have been quiet, they will have hit that number. They will have hit that number. They proposed to hit that number, but because we criticize even the 998, we create a number of the 70-something people from the president's family who are in the list. That's why they didn't hit that number.
All right, so
Mensah is sitting here, is out of the list. Then you have 77 people from the president's family
I cannot be on the list.
No, but he's an MP. He's an
I'm a
MP.
member of parliament. I cannot be on the
There
list.
is somebody on the list.
Who's
That
an
person
MP?
is a businessman today. His firm is constructing a Accra Sports Stadium. He's on the list.
Why
But
do we
he's
why
an
do we
MP.
throw
But
out
it doesn't mean the
stuff
president
that
cannot
we
appoint the person.
I'm not lying. I said
doesn't
there's
mean the
somebody on
president
the
cannot
list
appoint the
whose
person.
name is on the list of people, presidential staffers. That person also owns a private company that is rehabilitating the Accra Sports Stadium.
Name that individual.
All right, 97.3 City FM and City TV.
Go and check the company doing Facebook Live.
The principle of he who alleges
check out the company. I won't mention that by the NDC.
Some of your messages.
I've checked the directorship of the company. And somebody whose name is on the list of presidential staffers is the owner of that company.
Very well. Okay, no name has been given, but we'll take that name and do those checks ourselves. We will return from this break, read some of your comments, and then move on to the Dumsor discussion. In the meantime, send us what your experience has been with power outages. Have you been experiencing it or not? We will put all these things together, and our guest will look at that. Don't go away. This is the big issue.
Citi TV is live. Citi TV is a free-to-air digital channel. On a digital TV, please press menu on your remote control and run a news search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a multi-TV digibox. Tune into Citi TV and experience your world. Citi TV, it's your world.
All right, you're welcome back to the big issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM. We are also on Citi TV. We are on a number of our affiliate stations across the country. We are on Facebook Live as well, and around the globe we are citinewsroom.com. We are moving to the next subject, which is the recent issues we've had in the power sector, or we are having in the power sector. People think that we are getting back to the days of Dumsor. Others think otherwise. Now, the minority spokesperson on Mines and Energy, Adam Mutawakilu, wants government to be candid about the recent power outages in parts of the country. According to him, the explanation by Gridco that the outages are as a result of transmission challenges with Asawase is not tenable. There's more in this report.
In recent times, social media especially has been buzzing with complaints over frequent power outages. Many fear the dreaded Dumsor era is back. But in a statement issued on Tuesday, Gridco attributed the issue to transmission challenges from the Asawase thermal enclave. This, the Honorable Mutawakilu disagrees with.
Becoming evident that we're back to Dumsor. And the excuses given by VRA and Gridco are not reasons. Because if you talk about Asawase thermal plant having a challenge, we have excess capacity of 804 megawatts. And that is why they need to always have excess capacity in the power sector, so that when one plant goes down, another one comes on board. So that explanation is not something we Ghanaians should take. We should take it with a pinch of salt.
He further states that the country's power sector is reeling under the effects of serious liquidity challenges.
This government has come in and is misapplying that funds. Last year alone, 600 million Ghana cedis that should have been used to liquid the energy sector had been used to pay pension arrears instead of using it to support the energy sector. So the main issue is that the government is misapplying the extra funds, and therefore these agencies are not able to stand on their feet. For example, in 2006, Electricity Company of Ghana made a profit of 725 million Ghana cedis. 2017, they made a loss of 521 million Ghana cedis. Half year 2018, January to June 2018, they've already made a loss of 1.1 billion.
Welcome back to the big issue, 97.3 Citi FM. We are getting to the discussion on Dumsor. People have said we are getting back to the days. Others say no. And the Greco, in the heat of the discussion, in the course of the week on Tuesday, issued a statement. Tuesday, November 20, 2018. And I read, Ghana Grid Company Limited, Greco, wishes to inform the general public of power supply challenges experienced yesterday, November 19, during the peak periods between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. This was as a result of sudden drop in gas pressure at Abuadi, which caused a reduction in power generation from the west. Gridco had to call on other thermal plants in Tema to restore full power supply. Gridco assures the general public that there is enough generation to meet power demand. We are working with all power generators to ensure continuous supply to all customers and will keep the public informed of further development. We deeply regret any inconvenience caused. Gridco thanks you for your patience and cooperation. Gridco, that is from Gridco Public Relations. So this is what Gridco sent, and from the tone of this statement and references in this statement, it appears the statement was issued in respect of the Monday, November 19 power outage. It did not necessarily address the situation we've been having throughout the past few weeks or last week. Of course, in many instances, people have said they've had power outages, many times, and it's been quite frequent. And so that has occasioned the discussion and the talk, both in social media, general conversations on the streets, and even in the traditional media. And so I'll start with Honorable Mesa to give us a sense of what really the situation is. Honorable Mesa.
You see, I can only speak to my own personal experience. I haven't had power outages in the past couple of weeks. I had 2 nights of power outages this week. And so, to that extent, and of course, the period that I had the power outages coincides with the time frame that Gridco had indicated in the statement where we had some challenges. And so, to that extent, the talk of we getting back to Dumsor, which was a sustained period of erratic power supply for in excess of 3 solid years, cannot, under any stretch of the imagination, be compared to what it is that I experienced this week. And the explanation that has been given by Gridco is in fact what happened. But of course, our friends, and you heard Adam Mutawakilu, my very good friend, would want the people of Ghana to believe that we are in some crisis. But I always say that, when problems like this arise, there's no way that government can, as it were, hide the facts behind it. Because as we go along, the issues will be laid bare. If the erratic supply persists, you will have to provide explanations for it. Can you continually attribute it to a reason that does not exist? You cannot. Okay? So let the NDC folks chill. Take a chill pill. Because, like the minister said, we will not get back to the days of Dumsor.
Because we're giving you a lot
Dumsor is a thing of the past. Period.
You see,
look, I don't know why the basic principle of he who alleges must prove all of a sudden has taken on a different meaning. That I allege, but you prove. Mutawakilu was on air making all sorts of allegations without an iota of proof.
Strict liability offense.
Yet he's invited us to debate it. And I think that we as a people should demand proper accountability from our political leaders,
but you see,
including the opposition. Because you see,
making an allegation without more, a member of parliament. I expect that if the people are exacting accountability from you, you will go further and take the steps that are required to get the appropriate ministers to come and answer a question on the floor of parliament. But they will never do it.
But you see, the minister himself has said, he has attributed the recent power outages. So his comment takes it beyond the GRIDCO statement. GRIDCO spoke in respect of the day before the statement, the 19th. The minister says that the recent challenges with power supply is due to some technical challenges. And he also said that it's not, he said that it's not as a result of a low generation capacity. He further revealed that there were challenges of let me just read this.
Inconsistency whatsoever in what the minister said and what GRIDCO said. Technical challenges relating to what? GRIDCO gave specific that look, pressure with the gas in the Western Corridor is what accounted for this. How is that inconsistent with the statement that the minister issued?
You see, the minister's suggestion in the comments he made is that it appears like a problem that may take a while, but GRIDCO just, it's been happening for the past couple of days, but GRIDCO just chose to focus on just one day. And I think that's where the difficulty is.
Selorm, have you experienced erratic power outages in your home for the past 3 weeks?
Yes.
We've had power outages.
No, I don't have a problem.
I can tell you for a fact that Spintex,
coming from you,
and
you expect me to
who is on the Spintex road?
Coming from
the Spintex road. I'm speaking on national TV. Anyone who is on the Spintex road, 6 p.m. And I have neighbors, Cemex, all those guys who are in on that stretch, the Energy Bank side, from Cemex to what have you, going all the way to Papaye area, Robbie Hood Hotel, all of us on that stretch. 6 p.m. our lights go off. So
for the past 3 weeks, how consistent are 6 p.m. outage be?
Almost every other 2 or 3 days we had that. It's been consistent. Every single day by 6 p.m. we were off. So when that statement was issued, I realized that we were not alone. It seems there was, and you could see it on social media. See, the thing is, we are now in a stage or in an era where social media makes you, it's impossible to hide. Maybe 6 years ago, you could hide and say, oh, there was a technical challenge here, and so now immediately the lights go off. If you even challenge, they will even give you shots of where they are, which will show you that they have no lights. So if you have people all over Accra and all over the country indicating that as at from a certain period, consistently, we are having lights out, it is obvious. You can't hide it. So there must be official explanation.
But this could be local issues.
The problem with the MPP is that when dry bulls are mentioned, old ladies, they become very, very, very scared. This was a campaign issue that they drove to the heart of
it also means that
you see,
your claim about solving
a particular situation.
Your claim about solving
the thing is that you see, when you drive, when it's like a nail, it's like, imagine you are the soldiers that drove the nails into the feet and the hands of Jesus Christ, and then you are now being taken through the same, or potentially you will be taken through the same.
Let's just say that, assuming without admitting that we have experienced erratic power outages for the past 3 weeks.
Assuming without admitting.
Yes. Does that constitute the same 3 years that you put out?
It may just be the beginning.
But that's what I've told you. That, you see, it's not the beginning. And we have indicated, and I still stand by it, that the problems that we had with Dumsor was purely financial.
This is what I have a big problem with my senior brother.
Let him finish. I'll finish. Let
him finish.
I can give you a pen and paper.
I will put it in my head.
Okay. You see, that's why I said that if we exact accountability from our political leaders, including the opposition, Mutawakilu should not make the allegation that he made without more, and not take further steps so that the people of Ghana can see what it is that is
as
the
in
truth.
calling the minister to
Absolutely.
Parliament. But it takes time to do that.
How does that? You can file an urgent question. This is a matter that please.
Okay. But
have you
let him
filed
do
an
it.
urgent question that has been rejected by
Let
the
him do it
speaker?
for the speaker
What
to
are
say
we talking about?
that
Yes.
he won't admit it.
Let him go ahead and do that
without even filing that.
Okay, look, ECG, we all know, has had problems with recovery of their fees for services that they provide. Yes. And so that informed the signing of the Compact 2 to, as it were, give the management of the distribution of electricity to the private concessionaire. We know it. So if you come and say that ECG has incurred losses of 1 billion, and so that is the reason why we are having power outages, where's the basis? Where is it? Was it because of ECG losses that we encountered Dumsor for 3 years? Was it? So let's not do this. Okay, look, please. I mean, I do not have any cause to doubt the statement that has been made emphatically by the Minister of Energy that we are not back in Dumsor and we are not going to go back to Dumsor. And that is the assurance that I want to give to the people of Ghana. Yes, there were issues with the supply end of the gas, and that necessarily led to the kinds of challenges that we've faced over the past couple of days. But that
all right, see,
technical issues can arise any day. You know that Jubilee didn't require payment from government.
The minister has said
requires payment from government.
The minister
does Jubilee require payment from government?
All right.
What are we talking about?
You have just 1 minute or so to do that.
The problem with the MPP
is that we speak the truth.
The problem with the MPP
that's the problem.
The problem with the MPP is that when we told them that it was both a generational capacity issue and a finance issue, they decided that they were going to speak with one mouth.
Only the financial
was a financial issue. Forgetting that in President Kufuor's era, they did not add 1 kilowatt. That's even one kilowatt of energy. Let me finish.
Completely false.
It was because of that.
Because the thermal plants in Takrady was increased in capacity during President Kufuor's
time. As of the not Kufuor's time.
When did it commence?
When did it start?
When did it commence?
So we are talking about
what are you talking about?
You must ask. When did it add to the national grid? We are telling you that it was because of the lack of foresight.
That we left office, we have enough generation capacity to feed the people of Ghana with electricity. What are we talking about?
I didn't interrupt.
You did interrupt. You stopped me. What are we talking about?
So I'm stopping you. All right, so quickly.
It will change the fact that it was because of that deficit of foresight to add on to the national grid. That is why when President Mahama came, he said he was not going to play politics with it.
He's not going to manage it. Fix it.
And so when he fixed
but did he fix it?
He fixed it. That is why he left you with enough for you to be able to export. So that Ghana will become a net exporter of energy.
That's reckless accumulation of generating capacity. You call it reckless. Do you know how much capacity we are paying actually for power we do not use?
When VRA acquired,
are you aware?
Excess plant over
the $600 million that we are paying for power we do not use.
You know, if you speak at the same time, listeners cannot hear you. So,
at least it is good to have excess, which you can now describe as reckless. You understand? When the man's vision was to make Ghana a net exporter of electricity.
So Ghana has always been a net exporter of electricity.
It's not always been. The idea
to Togo and
Benin. You have short memory. That's what they say.
Behind what we wanted to do was not at the scale that we have now.
But nonetheless, we're still a net exporter.
The point we're making is that at least we left them, with a net enough, to be able to solve a problem once and for all. What they are afraid of, based on their own history, is that they may be caught up in that old propaganda that they perpetrated. That it is no longer just a generational issue, but it is now a financial issue. And because of that, we may end up where we were before. We all pray that we don't end up
because we will not get there.
And I'm a businessman.
I'm saying that your prayer is not required.
It will cost me money.
to be able to power my generator so that I can work.
Very well.
But we pray that if we see the early signals, we have a responsibility as an opposition to bring it out
so that I solve before
exactly.
we get there. Very well. Honorable.
You see, it's a funny thing for me. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about the times, and I like the way Nisamwa has just summarized it. When we have inherited a very difficult, messy situation of lack of, in fact, adequate electricity for Ghanaians, because Akosombo had gone low beyond endurance level, and the environmental situations in the world itself has contributed to the fact that you do not even get the sort of level of water that you have. It was difficult.
Mixed generation.
A foresighted government should think about not even his time, but the years ahead.
That was 96, 97.
To think about what can we do so that generations after us will not experience the sort of difficulties we are experiencing
was introduced by the NDC. It was introduced by the MPP.
Look, we are so even foresighted that it is not just a matter of just bringing in solutions that will respond to the times of the day, but the solutions that will stand the test of time.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we did. And when we're doing this, they were saying it was not an issue of the bad because we are not paying our debt. Forgetting that if you want to have a plant today, unlike it's not like a tomatoes that is on the market.
What was the vision of WACO? Why did we have WACO in the first place? It was about sharing energy concerns.
We needed to have a product that requires you placing orders. And when you place order, it takes time for the thing to be manufactured for you to have hold of it.
Very well.
So we have time.
That's why we emergency badge took over 2 years to come.
Yes, that's why we had so many situations. Because you know, it may be called emergency badge. The emergency was to
contradict you.
No, the emergency was to address the problem you were having. But the production of that badge it's not an emergency thing. You cannot just go and it's assembled for you tomorrow and then you pick it.
Very well.
You understand? So when we're addressing that issue, we knew that there would be financial difficulties, challenges involved with this. And that's why we brought out the ESLA that they criticized. We brought an ESLA that was solving or giving relief to the other stakeholders who were contributing to us providing that service. And they criticized. They said it was an incompetent way of resolving the problem.
Very well.
Today, the minister came and stood in parliament and was telling us the benefits we've got from
ESLA.
Very well.
We did not even bequeath to them only the physical infrastructure. We also bequeathed to them money. Your father have made you a house and he even gave you a bank account.
Very well. So that's NDC and very well. NDC is not very well.
We are not comparable when it comes to energy.
All right, you have the final word on this.
You see, our total demand peak per day is about 1,876 megawatts.
What is the installed capacity or the generation capacity?
Installed capacity is about, if you add, one moment. If you add Trojan, Sem Power, and the renewables, it's about 5,013.
Generation?
Total generation is about 4,197.
So it clearly means that we have excess.
Absolutely. So that's why I'm telling you that, you see, as at the time that the MPP left government, we had enough capacity to meet demand. What we lacked was slight, in the event of any of the available generation capacities, we didn't have sufficient contingency to meet the demand. And so we're going to have a shortfall. Now, when they came, what we consistently said was that financing was the issue, not generation capacity. Because that clearly from the figures was what was there. They said no.
Because we are not
foresighted. Signing. Look, if we didn't have a foresight, President Kufuor would not have done Bui. That clearly was going to enhance the capacity.
No,
if he thought that the capacity we had was enough for
he had foresight, so he was thinking ahead.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying, that don't talk about.
But you guys have signed so much PPA.
About 24
such that as we speak,
what were they supposed
to
provide?
Only 28%
energy at huge cost.
Get it. When you have those when you do those PPAs and you export power, what do you aim?
Export to who?
You have
all right, guys.
You can only export when you have a market.
He has the last word. He has the last word. So
you can only export when you have a market. And I'm saying that as we speak,
we are talking about WAPCO.
Owing to the reckless,
everyone,
visionless accumulation of generation capacity. We use only 28%.
And you're supposed to export
Yet,
the rest.
we are spending 600 million per year to pay capacity charges. For power, we do not.
Because you need to create the market.
This is the big issue. Let me take just a few of your comments on this subject, then we'll make progress. Your bookkeeper tweets has been said, in the era of 1D1F, Honorable Andrew Mesa shouldn't assume without admitting, have we exported more power? The Dumsor is becoming pervasive. Hashtag the big issue. You can also tweet at me at Selorm Adonoo, or you send us a WhatsApp message on 0542 054. The WhatsApp number is 0549986996. Some more comments which have come to us on WhatsApp. Boss, not free SHS are doing double track, but ECG and Ghana Water are also doing double track. Nana, South McCarthy Hill. Selorm, there is no doubt Dumsor is back. I stay at Dumsor, and we had light going off from 6:30 p.m. and came back at 3 a.m. This is not an isolated case. He says this is not an isolated case because the going on and off has been happening for the past 3 weeks, and no one is telling us exactly what the problem is. We'll be back and deal with the issue of the police quickly, then we can wrap the program. We can wrap up the program. This is the big issue. Don't go away. All right, you're welcome back. This week, the 5-member fact-finding committee established by the government to investigate the shooting of some 7 persons in the Mansum Kwanta area in the Ashanti region found that the people shot were not armed robbers after all. They were innocent people. This has brought or has generated some discussion on the conduct of the police. And, just this week, there was some scuffle between the police and the immigration service regarding some people that the immigration service arrested. The guys called the police came and allegedly freed them, and later on sent 3 of the 4 initially arrested guys to the police station. People have said that the police's training, recruitment, and even the content of the curriculum is not fit for purpose and it requires some reform. We just want to take brief comments on this, and I will start with Nilante Vanderpool on this. So we want to just do it this way. The police, we know the issue, we know about all that happened, that Asawase people were not happy, etc. Moving on, the committee has come to say that they were not innocent. It means that the police certainly got something wrong. And before this, people have also complained that sometimes the people we see the police shoot and display together with weapons and so on and so forth are not armed robbers. And sometimes the weapons are not even for them. They kill the people, carry them to their stations and display the people with the guns. It certainly raises an issue which is age-long, not maybe limited to any particular government. An issue about the training and the caliber of people we get into the police service and the content of their training. The operations chief of the Eastern Regional Police Command has come out to say that even the 6 months training we give to the police is woefully inadequate. And even within that period, all they do is to do parade, go to classes for 2 hours, come back to do parade, do tattooing, watering flowers, etc. Do you have the sense that it's about time we reformed the curriculum of our police service?
I totally agree with you. I've had an opportunity of living with some policemen outside the country before, and they tell you the sort of training regimen they go through. You know that we don't do anything with ours here. I've been friends with a lot of people who have headed a police training school, for example, and the sort of things that they told me, what they go through, I don't think it's adequate to prepare anybody for effective policing in this country. Let me refer back to what my friend, I mentioned about. The problems we have in the country, most of them, even though they may be systematic, or let me say, they may be systemic, they may also be as a result of lack of institutional discipline. A lot of problems we've had results in the fact that we don't really discipline ourselves when it comes to the issue of what we should be doing in order to make somebody fit for the sort of job that we are providing the person. And I said the person goes in there within that on the job, the person will be able to adequately equip himself well as far as that the functions are concerned. But it's always not the case. Let me say, 6 months, somebody you are training, one, to handle a weapon, and to also be able to be the sort of bridge to maintain peace among people and society. Should be somebody who should have a lot of work as far as his psychology and social connections are concerned. So what are the courses we do at the police training school? Are those courses enough to develop the mental and the psycho abilities of the people we recruit? Because some of these things happen because those people are not mentally and physically developed in a way that they'll be able to handle situations like that. Because you miss situations outside the country where policemen have serious confrontation with civilians and you admire the way the policemen handle those situations, how they interface with the public. So much that sometimes it assumes confidence, but I wouldn't say that even in those jurisdictions, this, let me say, excesses are not evident. I've also come across situations where in the US, for example, going back to 2 years, 3 years ago, people have demonstrated against police excessive brutalities, especially when it comes to related against blacks. So sometimes it's also has its own, there may be remote causes and remote reasons why people will act in such a manner also. But then seriously speaking, consistently we've had police personnel, retired officers, complain about the sort of training that we give. Especially at this time when recruitment in police evidently, and I won't say this, I won't give an excuse, have become more of political patronage. But it is starting now. That's what I'm saying. I will not make excuses. In the recent past. Yes. I'm not making excuses for any regime. It cuts across all the regimes in the past. People think that it's an opportunity for us to say thank you to some of these young people who have helped us win our seats and win political power. So sometimes we don't even look at the qualifications and also the abilities of those people we recommend for recruitment. We just push them in. Oh, this boy is disturbing me too much. When I get him into the police service, it will solve my problem. Forgetting that because it's so much of a raw and unripe fruit, you'll come back to cause problems for you. So I think that we must try to insulate recruitment of personnel into our security services, especially from political manipulation. Instead that person will be recruited based upon the fact that he's a Ghanaian and is qualified to be recruited to perform that important role to maintain peace and order in our society. Very well. If we can do that, it will help us.
Okay. Honorable Mesa, it appears a consensus, speaking to a lot of people, is that the police must reform itself. And that reformation should be done devoid of political interference. What's your view on that in relation to how the police has conducted itself in the recent past?
Well, I think that the need for some reformation, is long overdue. And I firmly associate myself with the call. Because clearly, you cannot keep on repeating the same thing and get a different outcome. Result, yeah. So if the training of our police personnel, who essentially have the duty to protect life and property, we're getting elements in there. And of course, I'll be the first to admit there are some fine police personnel out there, except that a few of them, have given us cause to reflect and to, as it were, make the call for some reformation of the entire system, and it's a call that I will support. Because if you situate it particularly in respect to the most recent one, being the gentlemen from Asawase who were apparently on their way to another town, and the police gunned them down, ostensibly on the suspicion that they were armed robbers. And it turned out that that suspicion was baseless, and that these young men were no armed robbers at all. Then it necessarily brings into question what kind of training our police personnel have, such that they will, purely on the whims of some suspicion, gun down people. And even if they were armed robbers, does that warrant that kind of reaction, which essentially amounts to an execution? Because I would have thought that the right to pronounce somebody guilty of a particular offense resides with the courts. And so your duty as a police officer is to effect an arrest, conduct investigations, and present the evidence before the courts to make the determination.
To make the determination, yes.
But to take the law into your own hands and go ahead to summarily execute people merely on suspicion of being armed robbers clearly cannot be acceptable in any civilized society.
Very well.
And so, yes, I tend to agree that the political interference ought to be minimized, if not entirely eliminated. But I thought that even the people who are sponsored by politicians ought to meet a certain basic requirement. We can't pretend as ostriches. Yes, we live in a country where winner takes all has dominated our political discussion. And so young men work for parties, and the parties come to power, and they expect a reward.
To be rewarded, yeah.
You understand? I don't think that's the way to go.
Very well.
But that's where we are.
Very well. So,
but at the very minimum, such persons who are nominated by politicians to be considered
duly qualified.
Absolutely.
Very well.
We can't compromise on that at all.
I agree.
I need to be very because
I think that number one, we should be bold enough to say you need a first degree to go into the police service, for example. It's not out of reach. Or it's not, or maybe SSC minimum, if we can. For those who will be in the regular force, and then maybe the officer corps first degree should be the minimum. Then there was a very interesting article, I think it was a discussion by one of the police officers about reforming the appointments of the IGP and all those things, and that may call for constitutional reforms. And I think we should look at that his presentation again. If we combine that, for some reason, if you look at the armed forces, you enter there and your orientation is still nationalistic in the sense that
very professional.
Very professional. I think we should be able to look at how we can bring that to the police service as well. Maybe the training again has to be looked at, but we should have minimum, because it's all of us at risk where you are crossing a toll booth and the policeman believes that you are trying, and then somebody just fires. I was so scared when I used that road, and I'm like, wow. So go ahead before you realize it could be happening to the MP. You could. So it's
a matter which everybody agrees to, and you can sit around the table. So we want to end the program. And that's how we end today's edition of The Big Issue. We came to you live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Morton Loop, in Adabraka, in Accra. My guests have been the Honorable Andrew Mercer, MP for Second D.
You didn't hear the Chief Justice's advice to preface MP's name as well. My name is Andrew Mercer.
What from the Ejapa? Is it Ejapa?
Ejapa is my middle name.
Okay, so Andrew Ejapa. Ejapa is a good name.
Mercer, yes.
Andrew Ejapa Mercer,
yes.
MP for Second D. He's in a 1,000 on the show today. Neil Antevanafoy, MP for Ododo and a former Minister for Sports. Need Papo Samoa Ado, private legal practitioner and a member of the NDC.
We are increasingly
my name is
adopting the
Selorm
Nigerian
Adonoo.
style.
Thank you for listening and thank you for viewing as well. Our two regular guests, Sidney Hayford and Franklin Kujo, are on different assignments. And I wish above all things that may prosper and be in good health.